Okay. Peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Sitting here dealing with technical difficulties for the longest. I don't know what was up tonight. Y'all see the call in number? All right, we're going to get right to it. Welcome to the show. You know how I do, I just get right to it. Let me pull up all my stuff real quick. Hold on. I see y'all. You got to hit number 1 on your phone if you want me to, if you want me to put you, bring you in. You got to hit number 1 on your phone. All right. What is this right here? Oh, shit. All right. Y'all got me working hard. I'm here to give you what you want. All right, let's see. All right, so we're going to start with, this look like Texas right here. What this is, Texas, Dallas, Texas. 469-0368. You on the line. What's on your mind?
Hey, Yusef, how you doing, man?
Doing good, bro. What's going on?
Man, I wanted to catch you for your Dallas seminar, but some family stuff going on. How'd that go?
Went great, man. It went great. It's always great, Get out, talk to the people. It was nice. It was very nice.
You think you're going to be coming back to Dallas anytime soon?
Well, yeah. We're going to Philly then Miami right now, but we might be coming back. We're going to definitely do Dallas again. That's my home state. So yeah, definitely. But I got to do Philly, Miami, Baltimore. That's all we got planned right now. I think Arizona is going to be on the list, Phoenix, and got to go out to the West Coast. Got to go see LA.
Well, that'll be an interesting one, man, LA. So I got a couple questions, just kind of like general questions. I've been listening to you for about 5 years. Learned a lot. I've been a member of SC University on and off a few times, just learning things. So with the rules of the game, I'm always telling people about your channel and your work, and it's funny because I always forget. And even right now, I can remember the 3 of the rules. There's always one I'm missing, and I'm trying to figure out how to lock it in. I always remember being on at all costs. There isn't any money. Don't participate in public controversy. But what's the 4th rule? There's like one.
Public and private don't mix. That's the first one. That's the one you got to know.
Yeah, public and private don't mix. Yeah, no, I get the concept from studying. You can't. Public law and private law don't mix. I get it. Because I listen to you all the time telling people, like, they'll be talking about something in your chat, and you'll be like, man, like, come on, man. Like, public and private is a law thing. It's not a figurative definition. It's a legal definition.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's really, I should say public. What people be getting confused, they're like, why are you in the public? And it's really public law and private law don't mix. There's public laws that govern the public, and there are private laws that govern the private. The public laws that govern the public are the Constitution. The Constitution is the big one because a lot of people think they have constitutional rights. You do if you're a 14th Amendment citizen. You got civil rights, okay? But your fundamental rights, your rights that are given to you by the creator of the boundless universe on the private side, those are called your rights that pre-existed before the Constitution. That another man can't give you, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Another man can't give you that, your fundamental rights, as the Supreme Court likes to say. All right, so the Constitution is a document that doesn't apply to private citizens. It only applies to government. It's a document that creates the government, and is a document that limitates the government. That's what it is. And a lot of people think every state has their own constitution to form their own government and give their government powers and restrict their government. It's like if you look at it like a trust document, it makes all the sense. It's just a trust document. You know, you the settler, the creator of the trust, you have an indenture agreement. You tell the trustees what to do. All right. Now, once the trustees got that power, you can't take it. Like if it's an irrevocable trust, you can't never take it back from them. And the trustees are all powerful because they own all the property in the trust and everything. But they got to follow the directions that you gave them. So that's the same with the government officials. But what they have done is they've learned how to circumvent over time, how to circumvent those restrictions by fooling you, by offering you benefits and privileges. They had to get you some sort of hook to come over into their jurisdiction. Because, see, prior to, like in the early 1900s, the majority of the people lived in the country. Wasn't no cities. Wasn't no downtown, nothing, or anything like that. People were spread out all over the country. You know, you had your own house, you had land, you know, it was like that. You grew your own food. You know, those are the things. So, yeah, go ahead.
My question is with this stuff. Okay, so like, I'm gonna give you a little bit of my understanding based off what you told me in my own research. So basically, the Constitution, when it was drafted and they ratified it, and then they obviously added to it with amendments, but it was created as a public trust, right? So it was like, hey, you know, we're gonna put in trust these things. And like you said, it creates and limits government. But when it was written, citizens weren't taxed, you know, like the way they are now.
Well, that's because citizens didn't take benefits and privileges from the government. You only taxed on benefits and privileges.
Right.
All right. You didn't start benefits and privileges until 1933.
Right. House Joint Resolution 192 and then the New Deal and all that. Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. I just. What I'm wondering, like the opinion I want to know from you about that material is this. I mean, I've looked into it as best I could just from research, but it's like, okay, I've seen the work you did where you talked about, you know, the Constitution, or not the Constitution, I'm sorry. The Republic is a house that nobody lives in. It's still around. It's just nobody's living in it.
Right.
And then the democratic, democracy, what is a legislative democracy created in Washington, D.C. based off of 1933, 1938, and other various acts and things that they did expand the executive branch throughout the, you know, several decades following afterwards, right? Is that accurate, you think?
Well, no. The federal government has always been around, and they've always had the powers that they had. They power basically stems from Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. Okay, that's the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. Okay, so they've always had territories. The federal government, when they go to war and they take land, that land becomes a territory before it becomes a state. Like Florida was a territory, and some of these states in the United States of America, they were territories, and then they became states. Okay, when they're a territory, they're completely under the authority of Congress. Okay, so you have Guam, it's completely under the authority of Congress. Puerto Rico, American Samoa, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Notice they call it U.S. Virgin Islands. You know, they like to put U.S. in front of everything. Right. U.S. Postal Service, U.S. citizen, U.S. District Court. You know what I'm saying? U.S. person. You know, these are identifying territorial properties of the United States. And United States in the sense that United States is the federal government in the 10-mile square in Washington, D.C. So they gave everybody a federal citizenship. This is what the 14th Amendment gets into. I was just watching a panel of professors discussing this yesterday. I was listening to them, but the whole time I listened to them, the one thing I never saw the professors say is give an explanation of the definition of United States. That's where everybody gets confused. They don't understand that there are three different senses of the word United States. And I'm going to give Paul Andrew Mitchell his props. He got a document called the Federal Zone. And I think he does a very good job of of doing this. And let's look at this document. It's called the Federal Zone. What the hell is this right here? I'm going to put it on the screen for you so y'all can see it.
Okay.
Hold on, man. The federal, that's what he called it, the federal zone. And then the Supreme Court picked up the word too, and they started using it, the federal zone. That's, they use that word too. So federal zone is a synonym for territory. For territory. All right, so let's see, the federal zone. Right. Let's see. And he has a website called supremelaw.org. Supremelaw.org. He has a pretty good, I give people their props. So if you go, I'm going to put this, let me see if I can put it in the chat. Let me see if I can put it in the chat. Yeah, I think I can.
Can I ask this about the whole the way the federal territories work, bro?
Can you ask me about what? This is the best business. Can you ask me?
I just want to clarify. I'm just trying to clarify. So I know what you're saying about the federal territories when those states before they became states, they were federal territories and so they were under Congress. But like what happened when they decided to get into doing the Social Security card and getting everybody signed up for it.
Well, that's what they call right? Under the Buck Act, this this overlay over the United States. Everything is a federal. The Social Security number is a federal territory. You might as well call that a territory. So everybody who has one, they fall under the territory of the United. That's what they call a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen has a Social Security number because a U.S. citizen, huh?
Which is why we want to stop using that number.
Which is why you want to stop using the Social Security number. It's very simple. This shit is not complex. I think where people get confused, I got a video on my YouTube channel. It's called the Two United States of the Buck Act. I think it's called the Buck Act. The Buck Act. People should watch that video. I got these videos on my channel for a reason. I took a lot of time. I put a lot of time and effort into that video to show people the overlay so they can start visualizing it in their mind's eye of what we're talking about when we're talking about a federal zone. You have the republic right here, and then over it you have an invisible layer called a democracy. So you have states. And all the states, every state has two sides. It has the Republic side and it has the Democratic, if you want to call it a Democratic democracy or whatever, it has that side, okay, where the people who occupy that state, because they've elected to have a status of a beneficiary, meaning that it really breaks down to the fact that you can't take care of yourself, because that's what the New Deal was all about. Right. We're talking about the Great Depression. That was the Great Depression. People were coming to the government for help. It would really behoove people to read the federal, the 1933, the discussion that they had on the House floor. Okay, and I have it on my website. I put it in the Facebook group and all over the place. But if you really take time to read that, the congressional record of 1933, and listen to the discussions that they were having about how they were going to solve this issue. One of the big questions that came up is how are we going to take care of the American people when the American people take care of us? We do pay their salaries. Government functions because we pay taxes. So how are they going to take care of us? If we don't have any money to pay taxes, how are they going to give us some money? And that's why one of the reasons they got rid of gold and silver. They got rid of gold and silver and established a Federal Reserve Bank where they borrow notes from them and then put those in circulation and made them legal tender. But for it to be constitutional, it had to be done in a territory, not in the republic, because the only thing that can exist in the republic is gold and silver. So that's the loophole. The Federal Reserve operate, what they call them, Federal Reserve districts. Federal Reserve districts. Right. All right, they in their own territory. They not under the republic. So, and that loophole that Howard Freeman was talking about is in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, where it marks out their territories, the 10-mile square, Guam, American, Samoa, all of those are territories of the United States. And I'm going to tell you this, I even went so far as when I first got into this to get into American jurisprudence and try to get a thorough understanding of territory. It was a very, very difficult word for me to find. When they try to hide something from you, They make the definition of the definition of the word very difficult. The key to understanding is the key to get a thorough understanding of their territory, but they don't want to. They don't want to expound on it. That's why you got to go and ask questions. These are your public servants, and this is why I came to the public, because people, you can't be afraid of your government. They public servants. They supposed to be honoring their constituency. They hold Capitol Hill acting like they kings, jumping out of Air Force One. Got guards around them and all this old shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, man, we selected you out of a group of us to go up there and vote to find issues to come back to our community, to help our communities. They up there padding their pockets, giving money to Israel. How is giving money to Israel and the Ukraine helping people in the United States? The people in the United States so fucking dumbed down. They just dumb the fuck down. They are, man. It's dumbed down. They just bewildered. They're just sitting there watching these people feed billions of dollars into this country, and they just ain't saying shit. Goddamn president can't remember his name half the damn time. But go ahead.
I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying 100%. Here's what I would say. I would say, I mean, I have a couple of points. I mean, everything you're saying, I 100% agree with. One point is Israel. I have a term I've come up with for them. You want to know what it is?
What is it?
It's not real.
It's not real. That's pretty good.
It's not real.
That's pretty good.
I actually, I'm sorry. I didn't come up with that. Somebody else did, but I use it because it just fits too good. It's not real.
I'm not gonna bang on. I'm not gonna bang on Israel. All I'm going to do is tell people to go watch Congressman Cynthia McKinney. You do have whistleblowers out there. All right, so I'm gonna send you to someone who actually worked up there, who can explain to you what is going on. She's a whistleblower. They got her up on out of there because she was telling you can't do nothing in Washington, D.C. unless you swear allegiance to Israel. And right now, if you look at, I would say, I'm estimating probably about 70% of the offices, of the head offices that are occupied in Washington, D.C. right now operated by Jews. They're occupied by Jews.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, the whole Jew angle that I've explored it. The Zionist thing. You go back to like the Jacob Frank stuff and all the historical stuff surrounding the whole movement. It's like, okay, you know what? Obviously, something's amiss here. When you go back to like before they had all the kind of power they have now, it's like, okay, obviously these people have been governing societies for a long time, and they have methodologies for doing this. And then, of course, I've seen not just you, as you and like a couple other gurus put out, some pretty deep info on the protocols learned all of Zion. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, let's be real here. Like the majority of cultural Jews, they don't even know about that. They don't even have an idea about that.
Listen, it's not, and let me qualify something here. It's not all Jews. There are some very good Jews who just want to live their religion. Okay, they not bothering nobody. They don't have no plans on taking over the world. They are good people, and they just want to interact with other people. However, you do have a group, a segment of them who are Zionists. We'll call them Zionists, who believe that they are the chosen people. And I can show a video right now. I can go show you a video from Israel. Matter of fact, let me just put.
I've seen the video.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the screen though for everybody.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. And Israel.
They straight up tell you that we're all dogs and we're all cattle.
Well, they say, and they call us dogs. What they said we're animals. And they gave an explanation for that. They gave an explanation of what a human being is and what an animal. Now, I listen to them speak as a man of intellect. I don't take offense, because I listen very carefully. And when they said that, they weren't trying to be insulting in the sense that, oh, you're just a dog or a cat or something like that. That's not what they were doing. They were calling you an animal in the sense that you're a barbaric, that you are not civilized. All right, you're not civilized. Like they said, well, look, they will.
According to them, though.
Huh?
I said according to them, though, not according to like me or you or logic or our actions. According to them.
Well, I mean, right now,
we're like
you know, like I will pose this question. I'll pose this because you have a lot of people say they're not the real Jews, and people when they bring that up, these are people that are not able to think correctly because they keep talking about who's not the real Jews, and they don't seem to understand. I don't care about that. I'm talking about who's in control. You could be the real Jews, but you don't own no property. You're not in. You don't own none of the natural resources on the planet. None. Okay, you're not in control of them. Okay, you're not in control of the government. All right, you're not in control of the monetary system. All right, you ain't own no businesses out here of any import. Oh, so when I'm talking about, you know who the fuck I'm talking about. I'm not talking. You know who I'm talking about. So stop that stupid shit. I'm very educated. I know. I know who we are. I know who the real Jews are. You don't have to take time to try to educate me on that. I know about the philosophies and all kind of stuff. But that's not the point. That's called an off-point argument. That is not germane to what we are talking about. We're talking about the people who are in control of the world right now, who are in control of the monetary system on this planet. And I've been researching this, and everywhere I look, they are in control of everything already. They're already in control of the world. It's not that they're going to take over the world. They're already in control of the world. They're already in control of the world. They control all the media, all the movie houses, but probably 70% of the businesses in the United States, most of the government now. I mean, and America.
Well, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, man. I'm not even.
They already control a lot of stuff, you know. They own Google. The two brothers that own Google are Jewish. They own YouTube, are Jewish. That own Facebook, Jewish. Clubhouse, Jewish. OnlyFans, Jewish. Do I need to keep going?
But not in control of you or me. That's the thing. They're not in control of you or me.
They're not in control. Yes, they are. And I'm going to tell you how they're in control. They're in control because, like I had a comment, somebody talking about Donald Trump. CNN is owned by, CNN is 99% Jewish. All right. So is MSNBC. All right. So if they say something negative about Donald Trump and they're able to garner favor from 50% of the population, that is control. If they're able to put charges on an individual like Donald Trump that we know is some bullshit, we already know that he's going to win by a landslide, and they scared to death, so they pulling shit out of his ass. But you got people on their side acting like they don't know that. They acting like, oh, no, Donald Trump is an evil person, when they don't have no evidence to substantiate that, and totally ignoring all the evidence they got from Joe Biden, on top of the fact that he's coming in front of a camera and this man can't even remember his name half the time, and they acting like they can't see that. And you're telling me that they don't have control?
No, I'm saying they have control like that, yeah. But I'm saying they don't have control.
Yeah, they got control. They got control of people's minds. These people out their mind, man.
But not your mind, though. But not your mind, though. I'm saying.
Well, that's true. That's very true. And you know, but that's true. But still, I got to take a chance of coming on their platform. This is their platform, you know, and try to speak about this in a way that is not offensive.
I'm just saying is that you and I have control, like certain people in the population have control over choosing something. If you're a conscious mind like you, who decided to make a show and a platform talk about this, if you and I did not have control over ourselves and they had control of us, we would not be able to have this conversation. It'd be impossible because they would block us from ever even talking.
They already listen, man. They already doing. We can't talk about the jab. Okay, you can't talk about that. You know, if everybody watched that show called "Died Suddenly," so you can see them pulling them blood clots out of people's bodies. The suppression of information is at an all-time high. They swept YouTube any type of video that they didn't like that was revealing something. Like, for instance, they used to have a lot of videos of reptilian shapeshifters. People were catching them. News for people and everything. And people looking at this shit like, is this shit real? It's a lot of stuff. Like, I put a picture of an alien sitting on a train. People are so immune to shit, they don't think it's real. They can put something right in front of you and you just won't believe it. that it is real, you know? So it's like, yeah, these people got control of the media is a very, very, very powerful force. That's a very, very powerful force.
I'll agree with you, but I will say this though. I have talked to hundreds of people. I mean, I have a business. I talk to hundreds of people in my business, face to face, not on the radio or TV or video communications, any kind of media. I just talk to people who come to my business. I work with like about maybe 200 or 300 different people a year, which is not a lot, but like when you're in person and you're dealing with them in person, that's a lot. And I will say this: the majority of people, when I talk to them about the things that you talk about, which I would say about 60% of the shit I talk about comes from what I hear from you, and I think about it, and I go research and like fact find and check it up. I talk to them about it. They ask me, please send me more information. Like, please, like, I want to go look. And they come back to me being like, hey, this is for real. So I want, like, the overall majority of people. I mean, I'm in Frisco, Texas, like outside of Dallas. Well, I mean, my business is pretty busy. I see a lot of people, and you know what? The people here, the majority of the people I meet, they're questioning everything, right? So, like, the majority of people in certain places might be, like, all on board with this whole system and they're shocked. But the majority of my customers, they hadn't had the shot. They didn't take it. And they're like a silent majority, in my opinion.
And they're trying, and they're just coming out right now, trying to do another phase 2. They trying to get, and then see when information comes out, like they said, the jab is something in it that doesn't affect the DNA of the Jews. They got mad when old boy on Capitol Hill, what's his name, Kennedy, they just drug him on TV. I'm sitting there, I didn't even know this happened. And they've been saying serious stuff. They up there, as soon as they say they called them all anti-Semitic, going in on them and everything like that. And then they got black women. I'm going to tell you what they do. They use black women. I've seen how black women have been used. These black women are about the liberal mindset because they have empowered black women. But black women, I'm going to tell you this. You think they empowering you? I'm going to give you a reminder. This is a reminder of what they think about you. You thinking you being empowered. I want you to go to a website called ghettogaggers.com. And then I want you to watch, I want you to go over to my BitChute and watch a video called The Hollywood Casting Couch, and how I even came to the knowledge of Ghetto Gaggers was through the video, The Hollywood Casting Couch, where the guy was explaining, he was talking about the casting couch, how women want to go to Hollywood and be stars, and what they have to do, to become a star. And he said they took that concept, and Jeremy, whatever his name is, he's the owner of the porn industry. He's Jewish. They own the porn industry too. Okay. And Jeffrey Epstein, all of them. I mean, when you start look like, is it just a coincidence? Every time we look at somebody, they just happen to be Jewish, and you're just not supposed to say nothing. You're just supposed to turn your head and just say, oh, that's a white person. That's what it gets you in at. They just want you to think it's all white people. It's just white. It's white. And so they can keep saying this thing, white supremacy. And they will use the word white supremacy, but they knowing that they don't consider themselves to be white and deflecting any blame and putting it on Caucasians and having blacks and Caucasians go at each other. It's a smooth ass type of thing they got going. But you try to educate, it's deep how you have to educate people, because you got to educate people about nationality and bloodlines.
100%.
And then you got ignorant ass blacks. If you try to tell them, oh, they all just white people. They all just, I'm like, you try to explain it to them. You got to go through that ignorance. All right. You're trying to, get them to understand it. Look, man, I've been studying this for years. Then you give them the stuff to read. They don't read it. Well, go read the protocols of the learned elders assigned. They ain't going to read it. Go listen. But the people who do read it and the people who do study it and study history and go and watch, Hitler, the greatest story never told. And, you watch a composite of things, the Men Who Built America by Time Life magazine, you start piecing things together like a puzzle. And one common denominator that always seems to come up is there's always the Jews involved. They're the common denominator, everything that I've seen, so now I'm going to say this. They didn't do the reason they can get mad sometimes, and I understand why they get mad, because they did not force anybody into doing anything. You know what I'm saying? It's like they their power lies in their unification. They the most unified people on planet Earth. They the most unified people on planet Earth. Probably after them come the Chinese, I think, maybe the Chinese or the Japanese, but the Jews are the most unified people on Earth. And that unity is their strength. That unity is their strength. So I can understand why they get upset sometimes and call people anti-Semitic, because in their eyes and in their view, they're just like, look, we are unified people. We stand on our own. We do business with each other like you're supposed to. You know, it ain't our fault y'all black people in y'all neighborhoods, y'all won't do business with yourself. You sell out your damn, I go to damn Louisiana looking for some soul food. I go down in the hood and goddamn Chinese people on the damn soul food restaurant. You know what I'm saying? We just selling out our stuff, selling out our land and everything. I'm in Compton, California on Rosecrans Central. There's a damn barbecue place right there at the corner. Japanese people own it. Right there in Compton, And so I'm talking to them in Compton. I say, look, y'all over here fighting over these corners and dying. I say, these people are coming up here with cash and buying up all the property in y'all neighborhood. And then this lady, she worked for the government, the local government. She gonna tell me, good, they're gonna bring some jobs. I say, you goddamn, this is a black chick, just sell out. This is sold all the way out. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I see, man. I've been doing this a long time, and I've been out talking to people. I have boots to the ground. I've been in meetings with the damn Bloods, you know what I'm saying, and done all kind of things and talked to people. And the root of everything is an ignorance. There's an ignorance. They've dumbed us down. It's not that other groups of people are so smart. It's that they have dumbed down such a large segment of society, and people can't. People just can't, they ain't thinking correctly because they don't have no basic principles. They don't have they took their spirituality away. They don't have no spiritual principles whatsoever. They can't talk to the average person on the street. Ask them what spiritual principles they abide by. They won't be able to tell you anything. Matter of fact, it's gotten to the point now, like, fuck religion. I don't believe in that shit. That's what you're going to see more and more people saying. But the people who are in control of everything, they ain't saying that. They ain't throwing their religion to the side. The Jews ain't throwing their religion to the side. He said, well, I don't believe in Leviticus 25:45. It don't matter. You the one ain't in control of the resources. The people who in control of the resources believe in it. Don't matter what you believe in. You ain't in control of nothing. You don't one of the rules of becoming successful is you don't listen to nobody that don't got more than you. You only listen to people. You only listen to people who have what you want. Nobody's listening to you if you don't have anything. Nobody's listening to you. Go ahead.
All right. So I'm gonna go through a couple things. You went off and like hit everything on the head. So, all right. So. If you want to jump in, because it's your show, man, like,
no, go ahead.
I'm just going to, like, repeat what I've learned from you, mixed with what I think. All right, like, number one is do what I do and get what I get.
That's cause and effect.
Right? Am I wrong?
That's cause and effect. Yeah, that's just another way of saying cause and effect.
Set of hermetic laws.
Right.
My thing is this. I'm trying to just tell you a couple things about me real quick. I'm not trying to talk about myself. I'm just
go ahead.
I don't really believe in this whole like white, black, Asian, different skin color thing. I don't believe in all that. I'm by societal standards. I'm a white guy. I'm not black. I'm white.
Right. I'm black. And listen, let me get some clarification. I don't either really, because what did I just say? There's somebody got us going against each other. And, I don't have a problem with white people. To tell you the truth, white people ain't really did nothing to me in my life. I probably think about two situations, but for the most part, white people have been very nice to me. White people have helped me a lot in my life. I don't, even some Jews. There's Jews who have helped me tremendously. That's why I say I ain't got against any, I don't have nothing against nobody. What I'm saying is I'm just making people aware that there are a group of people who do have a plot. if you read the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, you see what's going on. Why all this push of abortion? Why all this push of transgender? Why all this push of, you know what I'm saying? Why this push for these things? You know, LGBTQ and, you know, and this toxic masculinity. And, you know, if you just look at it and your TV right now and all your shows on television, women just whooping niggas' asses and shit. Ain't no more masculine heroes no more. They brought out a He-Man movie. You saw He-Man. It was a series. Everybody wanted to see it. He-Man. You know, we grew up with He-Man. He-Man. You know, we little kids, we all excited and shit. They making a He-Man. They show He-Man motherfucking 5 minutes and the rest of it was about old girl and shit like that. And she all buffed up, masculine and shit right now, whooping ass. They going back to every movie and killing the masculine figure. They went back to Star Wars. They made Luke Skywalker into a drunk. He's a motherfucking drunk now. They made Terminator, the last Terminators is a woman is the lead. All right, Mad Max, a woman is the lead. You know, you go back and start paying attention to all these movies. They're going. I just listened to Pretty Young Thing on the radio. They got a woman sing it. They're even taking the masculine songs and letting women sing them now. They're trying to push the shit out. All the masculine songs, they want that gone. And about 50 years from now, you're gonna think a woman sung that song. Captain Marvel, and like they just had the movie Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was a man when I was growing up. Turn him into a woman.
All right.
Go ahead. It's all over the place. But go ahead. I'm listening.
I'm gonna come clean to you. All right. So here's how this works, man. Look, you're bringing up all this stuff, but hold on 1 second. I'm a 30-year-old guy. All right.
Right.
I got 2 daughters, son on the way. All right. I'm married to an Asian lady. Had a half Asian baby.
Right.
All right. And we got divorced, but we got married on the wrong pretenses. All right. And we did mediation. We got look. I'm not the only person calling your show who knows about this, but look, I don't pay child support. I know you don't pay child support, but I don't pay child support. We both.
So let me ask you a question. How are you not? Are you saying you don't pay child support because what?
Because the mediator we went to, we both told the mediator, hey, look, we don't pay child support. So we both agreed, hey, in this divorce decree, we're going to go support the child.
And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. But see, if you don't pay child support and you got a child support order, okay, so if they give you an order and you don't pay child support, they're not going to arrest you for not paying the child support. They're going to come and arrest you for contempt of court, for failing to obey a court order. That's how they style it. They don't style it for the money. But you always got to maintain. I don't tell people, like, for instance, if they got a child support issue, I tell them if they go into court, you always put on the record that you're not willfully not paying child support. That, you know, because that's what it is you have some sort of willful act that you're doing in defiance of the court. And if you don't want to get arrested, you definitely don't want to take that posture, you know. So I understand we talk about private issues and we can get to that, but you got to understand when you're in front of a lot of people, the people out there at various levels. You got people who are in the beginners and you got people a little bit more advanced. So when you talk to the beginners, I ain't finna tell a beginner, don't go to court, don't pay your child support. I'm not going to tell them that because they're going to go out and run out and get arrested because they're going to jump the gun and get all excited and think and read a couple of pages on something and think that they know enough to go out and challenge somebody on that. And that's going to contribute to all of the case law that right now got them calling us sovereign citizens. And so, you know, you got to, in order to avoid all of that, you know, you got to take people by a step-by-step process and allow them to gradually, acclimate themselves to the information. And, you know, that's why I start with things like 7 rules. Okay, let's get these rules down. There's a public and a private, and they don't mix. They don't ever mix them. Don't you ever mix them. If you follow that principle and you get into the law books and read the law books, you'll see that's very apparent. All right? They do not mix public and private. The Constitution ain't in the public. Taxes ain't in the private. All right? That's why you don't, anything private is tax exempt because there's no taxes in the private. There's only taxes in the public, and your
Right.
rights aren't taxed.
Right.
Only benefits and privileges are taxed. If people understood that, we wouldn't have all these tax protesters, because they really believe that having a job is a damn right when it's a privilege. It's a benefit and a privilege. Nobody have to hire you at their job.
Well, I mean, he said something the other night. I was listening to your show the other night. I mean, I'm a regular listener. I listen like about pretty much every show you put out. I listen to the show if I get time. And you pretty much said the other night. I mean, I already know about the whole public and private thing. I get that, and I understand tax mitigation, tax avoidance versus tax evasion. It's a very different. There's a very different mixture of things going on. But I also understand that, like, hey, look. It's actually the area I like to. I have a theory on this. I like to get your opinion on it. I think you will give me guru wisdom on this point, right? Which when you said on your show the other night is look, if you're smart enough basically to figure out how to structure life as a business and everything in your life is a business, then you can legally avoid taxes.
Yes, you
but
can.
If you're unwilling, when they said taxation is optional, that's what they meant. That's what you said.
That's
what
it.
Meant.
That's exactly right.
Well,
you don't want any income taxes. You don't want no income. That's the name of the game, is to structure yourself where you don't produce any income. Like when you have to finance a car in your Social Security number, you just produced income. If that's a $65,000 car, all your payments on that car is going to be counted towards some sort of income, because it's going through a personal expense. It's not going to a business expense. They tax personal expenses.
Right.
This is what they're saying. They gave you Federal Reserve notes. They tell you what to do with Federal Reserve notes. They have said that Federal Reserve notes is only for the purpose of conducting business. So when you don't conduct business with Federal Reserve notes, they tax you for it, because you're taking money out of the pool of business and put it for your personal expense. So it's not made for that. It's not made for, the tax laws ain't made for your personal expense. They had to make something for it, because they had to make some allowance for, okay, these people don't know how to do business. All right. But everything that they do is for business purposes. Everything that I've seen the government, I've dealt with guys who trade negotiable instruments all over the planet. All right. And they have to get a humanitarian project. Everybody, before they get any money, they always have to have a humanitarian project or some sort of project that's going to benefit humanity. It's some sort of business project before anybody give you any money. Okay, the dinar, okay, the revaluation, they want a trust set up and that money to be redirected so it's some business expense. Everything that I have seen, if it's coming from the government, they're not taking money out in the public and putting it into the private. They're not going to do that. So any money that the government gives is for the public. That go for your secret trust account, all that shit right there, everything that everybody trying to get into. They're not giving you no money, no Federal Reserve notes, no Federal Reserve credits, nothing like that. If they do, it's called what? They got like IRS code. What is that? Charity work or something like that. They're going to give you permission, because you're fulfilling some type of duty or role that government normally does, and you're taking that burden off of them. So they give you a
tax break. Tax break.
Yeah, they give you a tax break. Yeah, right. Nonprofit. They give you a nonprofit organization.
You bring me in my next. This is where I'm trying to look. If this video gets taken down, I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm not trying to like.
Now, go ahead. I'm going to let you ask one more question, though, because I got other people waiting. But go ahead. I'm going to let you ask this last question.
Okay,
go ahead.
Okay, man. So I'm into all the stuff you're talking about. So what I'm trying to figure out is this, man. Look, if you want to like this is my. I'm just going to give you my theory, and if you tell me not your theory, we saw, that's fine. I'm not going to like argue with you because I trust you. But basically, in light of the way that they've structured the system, and in light of how they let the gays and transgenders and all these people take over all of the public, administrative things, like whether it's government or schools or colleges, whatever have you, it's gotten ridiculous. So was like, well, hold on a second here. We got the religious right here. We have, there's nothing stopping all the people who, Islamic, Christian, Jewish, whatever you believe in, as long as you believe in something, from starting your own religious sect and then creating a business that is tax exempt through the religion, right? So if you believe that there's a flying spaghetti monster in the sky, it doesn't really matter because these people have come out as so extreme and so crazy, but they're accepted, right? Right? Oh, it's all about inclusiveness and all this fucking ridiculous bullshit, and they're trying to twist everything around. Well, what's up? I don't know. What's up? 200 million people, 150 million people. So being like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna start my own religious sect. I want to organize my entire life as a business, and everything's gonna be private. And you know what? When it comes to food, guess what? I'm growing my own. When it comes to trading food, I'm trading my own. What's to stop people from outdoing them with the bullshit they've created with religion, right?
Well, there's nothing stopping. There's nothing stopping the people from doing that.
I've been working on it now. I've been working on it, and I got huge amount of people who want to do this. That's my platform, and I'm like, honestly, like it seems like to me, it's kind of like the ultimate. These people want to let their freak flag fly. So why doesn't every family start their own cult, right? Every family starts their own cult, right?
Well, I don't see how that. But see, I don't see how that is going to change anything because you can start whatever you want to start. You're free to do that. But if first of all, you're not in control of any of the natural resources. You're not in control of the land. You're not in control of.
The land. I mean, if every family that owns land is Mormon, Muslim, Christian, every kind of religion, their land can't be taxed because it's out of tax.
I understand
right?
that. I understand what you're saying, but it's more than just land. You got to get some control of food, shelter, and water. The necessities of life. They own most of the real estate. I'm talking to a guy here in Dallas, and he was telling me how Dallas is a closed club when it comes to investing in real estate. I've heard Grant Cardone say this. I went to his event, and he said real estate is controlled by white men. I know what he meant though, but it's like these people are in control of a lot of different things, and that's what I'm trying to tell all of you out there. And until you wake up and then you don't start clicking up and start understanding how to play the game on a business level. The game is to be played on a business level. All this other stuff people be talking about, like, you form your corporation, do whatever you want, but have that corporation, we all playing on a monopoly board. All right, you got to get you a token. If you want to play on their monopoly board, you got to get you a token. All right, we playing with monopoly money. The money's monopoly money. Federal Reserve notes is monopoly money, man. Your Treasury direct account. Right. It's in the public. The Treasury is in the public, They want you to play the game. It's a game. They want everybody playing the game on the board. So, like, they coming and asking you.
Don't their money.
They say, oh, you're an individual.
What happens if you don't need that money?
When you say you're an individual, they looking at you like, oh, you're a corporation of soul. You don't do no business, you're doing everything for yourself, for your, and you're and then you're an employee.
What if you're doing it in a group? What if you got like a co-op? What if you got like a whole international organization?
My question is, what is that international organization in control of? What type of influence does it have? Anybody can band together and form a company, but what do you got? What type of control do you have?
Well, if you got control over, for instance, like you're in control over your own food production. It's enough food to grow food for you and thousands of people.
You could do that.
And there's no Federal Reserve notes involved. You got lands all across the United States, plus other countries that are taxing.
Who's trying to buy up all the farmland right now? Bill Gates. And the thing, because he understands that. That's why they're getting ahead of the ball and buying up all the land right now, telling everybody in the future, you will own nothing and you will love it. They're already programming people with that bullshit. You will own nothing and you will love it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, what if you already do what I'm saying, which I've been doing, and so it's thousands of people. What if you already did that, and other people want to join you.
Well, people, put your information out there. You can put your if you lobbying for what you're doing, I don't have a problem with that. Put your information out there. Tell the people what y'all doing and how to get in contact with you. No, I'm serious. You know, because if you have got a movement going and it's starting to gain some steam, you know, hey, I'm all for that. You know, I'm for anybody who's going to.
I'm just trying to get from you. Look, the only reason I'm even doing this shit, okay, I'll be honest with you.
Well, I understand. Right? Listen, I understand that, and it sounds like you have caught on, you know, a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is that, yeah, you know.
We got 14 countries. We got 14 countries we're operating in.
Listen, I'm going to tell you how I'm playing the game. This is how I see the game is to be played. I'm going to tell you how I look at the game. I look at the game as, yes, that's why I got currency circulated just sitting, steaming, waiting for me to explode it. You got to aggregate capital. In other words, you got to take a group of people, pool their money together, okay, and then you got to start purchasing things like the hotels on the game of Monopoly. You know, you got to get a deed first. You need to buy the land. Then you need to own all the land, so you have total control of it. And then you need to start developing it, you know, putting houses on it, hotels and things like that. You have to develop it, okay? So everything goes back to real estate. Like I was told, the only reason you have a business is to invest in real estate. The only purpose of a business is to create profits that can be rolled into real property, the income-producing property. That makes all the sense in the world to me, all right? That's why you have a business, you know. So, and developing that habit of doing business the right way is kind of challenging. It took me a lot of trial and error to learn a lot of the things that I'm saying to y'all. A lot of trial and error and time wasted. And I mean, it's like, it just took time, you know, and, you know, but that's the game. I'm giving you the game. The game is not to have any personal and not to have nothing in your name. Own nothing, control everything. All right, that's one of the basic principles.
That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do.
That's it.
That's the whole thing I'm trying to do. Own nothing, control everything. Like
that's it. Own nothing, control everything. Because ownership is liability, and liability equals some sort of tax. There's going to be some sort of tax liability.
Well, if you can have a system, this is a system I'm trying to build with only two missing parts. If you get the real estate and you got the leadership and the organization and the supporters, the two parts that I believe are missing: education and medicine. Right? If you can get doctors and people to step out.
They're trying to kill off all of your naturopaths and your herbalists. They killing them off, and people just sitting around acting like it ain't nothing.
I do natural medicine, man. That's how I make my money.
Huh?
My money is natural medicine. It's one of my natural medicine is one of the ways I make money. That's how I make
a
bit of my income.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What's the name of your business? What's the name of your business here in Dallas? I might come by there. You own a shop?
Yeah, I own a shop. I have a whole little the whole corner, like a corner of a block. I got.
Put the name of your shop out. Just say
honestly, bro, I could tell you. Be honest with where I'm at right now. I'm not trying because of the connections like that. I prefer not to put it out in the air.
Okay, that's cool. All right, that's all right. I'm just trying to help you promote your business. That's all.
I'll tell you this, man. I would love to put my business on your show, but I got an international Nigerian church that I'm partnered with. I'm a white guy, but I got an international Nigerian church, and I got a pastor and a whole we're in 14 countries right now trying to do this. And I'm not trying to blow the lid on. I'm trying to get advice from you. But I'm not trying to put out the name because.
Okay, man. Listen. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna put you back in the line. I gotta go to the next caller now, bro. Okay, but I appreciate your call. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, I appreciate your call.
Thank you.
All right, let me go to the next caller. Let me go to 954-1282. You on the line? What's happening?
Oh man, Yusef.
Hey, what's happening?
I swore if I ever got a chance to talk to you, I'd tell you how much you mean to me. And
I appreciate that.
You've been such a blessing. I'm so proud of you. I love your story. Most people don't understand what it takes to be a real man, a real woman. You You are a perfect example of what self-determination is. And most people, they know suffering, but they don't know determination.
Right.
And how you picked your bootstraps up and got yourself out of your situation, and you took on that risk and you overcame it. That's how you elevate. And once you do that, nobody can take that away from you. And I think that's what we're missing as a nation, is that self-determination. So your story and your channel and what you do is just such a blessing. I always wanted to tell you that.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And you're absolutely correct. That's what communism is, the absence of self-determination. That's what it is. They're trying to turn the nation into a nation of dependence. And instead of being a free people, a free people is a self-determined people. If you self-determined, you're free, So, I'm a proponent of freedom. And private property is the foundation of freedom. So you got to protect private property, and all that, So, yeah, I see the game for what it is. And I'm a proponent for what you said. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. What was your question?
No, I wasn't even going to ask you a question, but since I got you on the line, I just wanted to express my gratitude for you. But the call you had, or the show you had a few weeks ago, where you were telling the story about how your mom's boyfriend hit your mom. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I never forget that.
That was one of your best. Well, that was one of my most favorite shows, because when you go off like that, it's so raw and so true. And, I just appreciate you not being afraid to speak your mind. And, you're just a real man. I appreciate that.
I appreciate that too, that somebody appreciates, manhood in today's world. What's depressing to me is I really kind of believe that if I was to die and come back 200 years from now, everybody would be damn, like metrosexual. All the men will be metrosexuals, walk around, effeminate, maybe masculine, but effeminate acting and things like that. That looks like what they're trying to take everybody to. And, that's the only thing. So I do see a lot of men out there in the manosphere, though, trying to fight back, though. I see a lot of men fighting back. A lot. So.
Well, I tell you what, man, real men, usually just want to be left alone.
Right.
And once they get pushed past a certain point where they know that the life that they've lived up into this point is going to change forever, that's when we'll make that decision. But there's a lot of men still, and but it certainly is good to have someone vocal like you that has had a tough life and has been through the system and dug yourself out of it. And your blatant honesty is the best thing for us right now. So don't ever stop that.
I appreciate it, man.
Don't ever feel bad about it.
I appreciate that.
Another, I need that.
You know what? I can't feel myself doing it any other way than being honest, man, because, it just don't, I feel like I'd be like betraying God. You know what I'm saying? If I started being dishonest, that's how I feel. Not to say I'm perfect or anything. I do everything perfectly, but, it's just like you got to tell the truth. Just tell the truth.
Well, I, for one, love it when you get all fired up and you start going off. It's just awesome.
That's my passion. Yeah. That's just passion. That's just passion,
Well, what would you, we're talking about, being in the private, what would be the first steps? You've obviously gone through your life and made some mistakes, and you've had to correct some processes. If you're thinking about going in the private and taking, one foot over into the private, what would be the first thing that you would do to set up like jurisdiction or to set yourself up correctly?
I would get me a corporation. And I'm going to tell you why. An LLC or something like that. The reason why is because that is something that is within reach of the average person. Okay? So this will start to acclimate their mind to certain principles. So when they get the corporation, go down and get your LLC, get your EIN numbers free off the IRS, and then open you a bank account. Take the paper you get from the Secretary of State's office, and then your EIN number. That's all the bank want to see. They'll open you up a business bank account. Once you get the business bank account and everything open, now you can start to try to get things in your business name. So the first thing you can do is maybe get your cell phone. I say the cell phone because that's the next easiest thing probably to switch in your business name is your cell phone. All right. That's a good start because now your mind is starting to, okay, I got something in my business name. I got my cell phone in my business name. Now that's a seed planted in the mind. And now you start looking for something else to put in your business name. All right, and you're learning. You say, you know what? I'm going to go over to Office Depot and apply for one of their credit cards. I heard that all I need to have is a business line that's accessible from information. And then where they can contact that, give me a DUNS number. That's free. Okay. And then get me a credit card. They might give me a little $200 or something like that, but that's fine. Go in there after you get the card, buy you some ink pens and some paper, pay it off 30 days, get it reporting. Now you got something reporting on your business credit profile. Now you're building something slowly and you're making it to where you can start to remove things out of your name, because some things that you're going to have to put in your name, you're probably going to need business credit. So you're going to have to develop that. If you don't have the money just to pay for something outright, but then it's going to be business credit. But you got to shift everything from in your personal name. So that would be the first step, because like what the Bible says in the book of Revelations 13:18, it says, let he who has wisdom calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right. This number, and you won't be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast and all these things. And people get attached to these names, but every name has a number. It's the number that is the unique identifier, because you could be John Jones. There's a million John Joneses out there. What distinguishes you from all the other John Joneses is your social security number. So the social security number is prima facie evidence that you're an acceptor of benefits and privileges, because that's all it's used for. It's used to access benefits and privileges, because that's what the Social Security Administration came to be about, to give you a benefit and a privilege to help you out in a time of need. Because as a result of the Great Depression in 1933, all the American people went to government and said they couldn't take care of themselves. They were no longer a self-determined people. They wanted to become dependents. And he said, we're going to make a deal with you. Here's the deal. You work for us, we'll take care of you. So they started that was the birth of what's called the welfare state. Get on the internet and Google it right now. The welfare state under Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Welfare recipients. All right, that's what they call it. Anytime that you receive any kind of benefit or privilege from the government, it's some form of welfare. You don't need to be just talking about the single mother because she on welfare. Everybody on welfare using that social security number on some type of welfare. So that's the thing about it. You got to become competent enough to handle your own commercial affairs. And the first step in doing that is to understand how to conduct business, because this entire United States is a business. It's a corporation. It's a conglomerate of corporations. All right. It's all nothing but a body of corporations acting together in concert. That's all it is. That's the United States. Everything is corporate. You have the right to go back into the private and not deal with any of it, like the Amish. That is what they have elected to do. Maybe even the Mormons in some shape. I'm not really familiar with them, but they got their own state. They got the whole state, and they follow their own, got their own thing going. You can have polygamous marriages and everything in their state. So those are things that, it's like that's the first step. Get your business. Then later on, you might want to get a private trust. Because a private trust is, your family trust. Maybe you can start a family trust. You can do that too. A family trust is a business, because your family is your business. Your family's your business. Even in the Bible, families were businesses. You got multiple wives, not because you wanted to fuck different women, nigga. You got multiple wives because your business was big. You had a lot of damn sheep, cattle, camels, crops, whatever, And usually the people that ran that was the family members. So you had to have more sons, okay, to go so you can run all of this stuff. You don't run this stuff through strangers. You run this through your family members. The Waltons are a family. You know, these are families. These are families. The Rothschilds are a family. These are families that are in the Morgans, the DuPonts, the Vanderbilts. These are families that are in control of the planet. Not just one person. It's a family. So you got it. So they destroying your family. They're destroying your family. They're going to make sure that don't nothing crop up and give them any type of competition. They're going to make sure of that. They got us. They done decimated our families on our side. We just arguing. Black and women want to be men want to be women. We arguing about dumb shit over getting a job, because working at a corporation somewhere makes you feel some kind of way. Makes you feel like you don't need a man, or makes you feel like you don't need to be married to a woman, or you don't need to have a family or something like that. That you losing sight of the most important thing is your legacy as a family. You live through your children, but people don't care about that. People are selfish. They're only thinking about themselves and the fun they can have right now. Like, I just want to have fun, live my life. Nobody has any duty to anything, any commitment, or anything like that. And I would argue that makes you less than human. Almost makes you like an animal. You just want to eat, sleep, and reproduce. You know what I'm saying? Just want to do that right there. Anyway, I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent. But I'm just saying, you know, it's like, get the corporation, get a company, start putting things in the business name, start shifting assets, start removing everything you can from that social security number. Get a CPN number. I don't give a damn if they don't like it. I'll say it. Put me on the news and everything. All right, we could have a discussion about CPNs if you want to. CPN numbers are not elite. Let's have a deep discussion about who the credit bureaus are. Let's start there. Who are they? You know, they ain't supposed to have your social security is for just what the name says on the card. Social motherfucking security. That's what it's for. Any other argument about it is some bullshit that they throwing at you. You know what I'm saying? It's for social security. So, you know, once we start getting these things in our mind and we can reconcile them, then we can begin to understand clearly what it is that we're attempting to accomplish. And that is to own nothing and control everything. And the first step in doing that is to start shifting things out of your name. Start removing your liability attached to all of these, to property. Your liability attached, because, you know, with ownership comes liability. There's a liability attached to ownership. So let another legal entity own it. What do you care? You're just passing through. You want to use a corporation anyway, because corporations never die. That's why they use corporations. Corporations never die. Trust die. They have a termination date, but they can be renewed. So they can have a perpetual existence too. There's a rule against perpetuities with trust. But they are both very, very similar. If you just have to know how to drive each one. Learn how to drive a C Corp is different from learning how to drive a damn trust. Learning how to drive a trust is like, you know, driving a car like 1,000 horsepower. Driving a corporation may be like driving something 750 horsepower. You need a little bit more skill when you're dealing with more horsepower, you know, but you still need skill to drive both of them. So, you know, it's a thing, it's a game.
So what do you think of?
Go ahead.
What do you think of this? Okay, so trying to be private and trusts die, corporations live on. So what about getting a registered agent? And I'm talking about to be super private. You get a registered agent to form an LLC, and then you get then you form an ecclesiastical trust and put your body in the ecclesiastical trust between you and God. And then your LLC becomes a trustee of that ecclesiastical trust for your body.
Okay.
So now your body belongs to that. Is that crazy?
Well, that seems like there's some mixing of public and private going on in there, because you got a public entity that is a trustee of a private entity. There is actually a case on the internet. Let me go over to Google Scholar real quick and show y'all. All right. So what you're thinking, okay, so when you think of doing something like that, this is what I want y'all to start doing. I want y'all to start, there's only two ways to really learn trust, private trust. And that's have a mentor or read case law. So I'm gonna go over to Google Scholar. Let me turn it on over here. All right, I'm going over to Google Scholar. If y'all look at my screen, this is Google Scholar. And I'm gonna put case law, I'm gonna check case law right here, and I'm gonna put in private trust. You already see I got it in. And down here, there is a case called, let's see, where is it at? Maybe it's on the next one. Next line. Yeah, Evans versus Newton. Now, this Evans versus Newton case, which is a very good case, is a case about, it teaches you so many principles about trust. But essentially what it was is that Senator Bacon in Georgia, he donated a park to the city, okay? But he had stipulations that black people couldn't come to the park. Now, I love this case because it addresses so many of the things in society today, right? From everything from racism to rights, to individual rights, all of that. That's why I love this, to trust law, to trust law. Okay, so they put it in a private trust. The mistake he made is they appointed public trustees to it, the city. Now, it's not that the city cannot be a public trustee of the trust, they can. But it's just that there was a problem because he donated the park and he didn't want black people there. However, public trustees have to follow the Constitution, and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment prevents them from, saying that black people can't go. So that was a problem. That was a conflict. All right. So now they went back and tried to get some private trustees, but then black people started to protest. They became as a third-party intervener, saying, no, we've been using it. We still get to use it. Now, this demonstrates some of the ignorance of black people because we always quick to holler racism when we don't have an understanding that racism only exists in the public. In the private, we have what is called freedom of association. You have a right to associate with whoever you want to. If you don't want black people in your organization, they have every damn right to have that as long as they ain't taking no benefits and privileges from the federal government. They can't take no benefits and privileges from the federal government because anything that takes benefits and privileges from the federal government has to abide by the 14th Amendment. Just like in your private trust, anybody who contracts with your private trust has to abide by the trust indenture agreement. If you're going to use a registered agent to open up a bank account, that registered agent is going to have to be under a contract. In that contract, it has to stipulate that that registered agent agrees to abide by the trust indenture agreement. Everything that comes in contact with the trust has to agree to abide by the trust indenture agreement. So there's some things going on. I'm not saying you can't do that, but it depends on what you want to do with it. That's going to be a determining factor of whether or not it's a good setup or not. As far as putting your body in that, I don't see any need to put my body in anything. I'm already free. Everything in the public deals with artificial persons. That's why we call it a straw man. So we have to get in our mind that there is a separation between the artificial person and the real person, and stop acting like we are amalgamated together. We're not. There's no need to put my body anywhere. My body can stay right where it's at. I don't need to do any of that. All I need to do is stop using that damn social security number. That is the nexus that attaches me to their jurisdiction. It gives them in personam and an in rem jurisdiction over my person. Not me, over my person. My persona. My persona that acts. My persona that constitutes that token that's on their damn monopoly board. Go ahead.
What would you say to someone that has paid into Social Security their entire life and is now
get your money,
age of retirement?
Get your money. Get your money. Well, you ain't gonna change it now. Get your money. And let me tell you something. There are more than one way to skin a cat. Okay, let me ask you this. Would you agree that the end game is for you to live your life as happily as possible? Is that the game? Is that our end game? Would you agree?
But in order to do that, for me, it's,
I'm not asking you how to do it. I'm not asking you. I'm just a question. Don't you think that the object of life is to be happy?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a beautiful feeling, being happy. All right, it's a beautiful feeling. So I never lose sight of that. How I make my moves is I'm going to do what makes me happy. Okay. I'm not going, that's another thing that people have to discover in life is you should never do anything that doesn't give you a good feeling. That's how the law of attraction works also. You have to be feeling good. Everything is about positivity. So you can't be engaged. If you're working at a job and it doesn't make you feel good, that is your soul and your spirit telling you to leave. It's telling you to leave. And you're afraid to leave because you don't know what's going to happen. You're always afraid of the unknown. That's because you don't have faith. You gotta develop your faith. You got to test God and allow him to prove himself to you. That's how your faith grows, because he start proving himself. Miracles start happening. Things just happen. You say, okay, if I just be positive, damn, it just seems like positivity keep coming to me. Let me put some more positivity in that. Damn, more positivity. You know, I did not know how I was going to be an entrepreneur. I sat back. I'm going to tell y'all the story how I became an entrepreneur. How I did all this show and everything. I was doing seminars at schools on this information, and people were paying me about $2,500 to show in California. One time I did it, and the lady didn't pay me. She gave me like $300 too, and I had to drive 2 hours out there to go. I was pissed. So I went home and I said, and I was wondering what I was going to do. And I thought back in high school what I was great at in high school. My number one class in high school was speech. My English teacher, my speech teacher in my high school, I was her favorite student out of all the students in the school. She picked me for teacher for a day. We'd have a teacher for a day where they would elect their favorite students. All the teachers would elect their favorite students and allow them to teach the class. And she chose me for that and sent me to competitions, do extemporaneous speaking and things like that. I was terrible. I can talk extemporaneously now, like off the top. That's off the top of your head. I can do that shit like easy now. But I knew that my strong strength was talking. So I said to the universe, I just said, and it's a funny thing when you make a declaration. Because see, you can say some things and not mean it. I'm talking about when you say something and you mean it from the depth of your heart. That's when it's going to be a power. That's when something shoots out into the universe and comes back with an answer. If you're just like, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and you don't feel it, you don't feel it in your soul, you don't feel it, you don't feel like you're making a decision. Like a man have to make a decision. That's what we do. Men make decisions. We don't waver. All right. But you made this decision and you have conviction of how your life is going to go. You made a decision because I can tell you the number one reason a man is unsuccessful is because he does not know what he wants. So how are you going to ask for it if you don't know what you want? So when you decide what you want, you ask for it. I said, I want to make money talking. That's all I said. But I said it with conviction. I ain't know none of this stuff. I ain't know nothing about Blog Talk. I ain't know nothing about YouTube videos. I ain't know any of that shit. That's all I said. But I said it with conviction. And I said it because I knew that what I was I could public speak. I said I got to do whatever I'm strong at doing. So 2 weeks later, I'm on the internet. I'm doing what I'm doing now, working on something. I don't know what I was working on. I probably was working on some court paperwork for some people because then I was kind of helping people with foreclosures and things like that. And this girl, Don Nicoleon, I'll say her name, she had a show and I really liked listening to her show. She was a strong black woman. She would cuss you out, but she was very intelligent, and I liked her. She had a little hood thing about her that I like. I like a little hood in my women, and I liked it. So I said, I started listening to her show while I was working, and then one day while listening to a live show, they started talking about Secure Party and the UCC, and I'd already studied and mastered all of this stuff. So I said, I'm gonna call in today's show, and I called into her show, and she answered and put me on the air and we started conversating about it. And she was impressed with what I knew. And then so she opened up the phone lines and let people start calling and asking me questions. I was nervous at first. I never did this before. I was nervous. I was like, what if they're going to ask me a question that I don't know the answer to? That's the first thing I'm thinking, kind of thinking that. And every question that they asked, I knew the answer to it. I knew it backward and forward. Everything they threw at me, they couldn't get me with nothing, like 2 hours straight. So I went 2 days in a row. After that, I looked at doing my own show. I looked and I said, how much is this blog talk? Because I really enjoyed doing that. I said, well, shit, let me start my own radio show. So I looked on Blog Talk, and it was $49 to have your own radio show. I was like, hey, Blog Talk, we on Blog Talk right now. Okay, that's why I'm taking these calls on Blog Talk. I've had a Blog Talk account ever since. Pay them every month faithfully, even though I'm not even on it. My partner, he's still on it. But, I come on there every now and then, I'm thinking about going back to the radio too, because radio is where I made my bones. But I started the Blog Talk, and I paid the $49. I was going to name it the Vibratory first because I wanted something to do with vibrations because I knew the 7 principles. But I went to sleep that night, and in a dream, the dream told me to name it High Frequency Radio because I know what high frequencies are. Because everything is a frequency. Everything is a vibratory frequency. Everything in manifest existence is a vibratory frequency. And God is a high vibration. You got to vibrate higher. As Outkast said, vibrate higher. That's a great song. I used to open up my show with that song. But anyway, I named it High Frequency Radio, and I started taking calls. In the beginning, I only had like about 12 listeners. They were mostly in Baltimore and the tri-state area of Pennsylvania and those areas up there, New Jersey, those areas. Shout out to everybody in the East Coast. That's why I'm coming up there to do a seminar up there, because y'all treat me very good, and I'm coming up there to see you. But they were the first listeners, and they were all Moors. So everybody had an L or a Bay name. I had an L name because I was with the Nubian Nation of Moors, and I joined an order, and I got the name Yusef L. And I hadn't used it in about 20 years. So I said, well, hell, I'm going to call myself Yusef L. Because I got a Moorish name too. When I started using that name, I blew up through the roof. I don't know what it was. That was the first time, but it's like, I couldn't take the name back if I wanted to. I couldn't even take the name back. I started saying that everybody started calling me Yusef L, Yusef L, Yusef L. And it just blew up so fast. The name got so popular so fast. I started answering to that name other than my real name. I say that name came, my name so much, it's like right now, that's my name. But it's a private name. So doing that, was doing that, and we was doing it for the love of it. And I had a friend, Paul David Savage L. Peace, Paul, if you're out there. He helped me start it. He became my co-host. We started together. I didn't start by myself. He helped me build High Frequency Radio. He helped me build it. It wasn't just me. And we would be having debates online over the air about various subjects. He was doing nationality, and I was doing secured party. And he's a very intelligent man. He's a biker, ride a bike, and very intelligent. I miss him. I miss brother. He's somebody I miss. But I hope he's okay. He lost a lot of weight, started doing the natural thing, and hey, I was very impressed. And he was with the Moorish Science Temple. So anyway, we started having this show. We had probably about 30 listeners, and I met this man. He told me how to grow my listenership. He had 750,000 listeners. And he said, start posting links in Facebook groups. I started posting links in Facebook groups. I would do 50 links in a Facebook group from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And then from 8 o'clock to 11, I would do my show. And then from 12 o'clock to about 2, I'd answer emails. And I would do webinars on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And I did it like clockwork for 2 years straight. I did it like clockwork. I woke up every morning at 6 o'clock. I didn't even need an alarm. Woke up every morning. And let me tell you something. There is something to be said about waking up early in the morning and starting your day. That is the recipe for success. You ain't going to be successful sleeping late. If you can't make a habit of getting up early in the morning and getting onto your task, you're going to have a tough time laying in that bed all day. So I got up. I'd do that. I put my link in 50 different Facebook groups
It would always be 50. Okay, then every month, my analytics started to grow. More and more people started to listen to us. More and more people. I had a target demographic that was people who had been to prison. 1/3 of all black men have been locked up, so I already knew I had a big audience. So that was my business plan. So I came in talking about the criminal justice system. That's how I started my show, talking about the criminal justice system and the things that I had been through and how to use this secure party process to protect yourself in a criminal proceeding. So I wasn't making any money doing this either. I did that about 3-4 months. You know, I put my Dropbox out for free, gave away all kind of free information, you know. And then I was living with this girl in North Hollywood. And, you know, we were dating. And I probably had about 3,000. To where giving money to a woman don't even come on your radar. That's where you're trying to go to. You're trying to go to a point where you're making so much money, paying a bill, buying her a car, doing that, it don't even come on your radar because I have a prosperity consciousness. Okay, you got to get rid of this poverty consciousness, all right? Prosperity consciousness, you got to start by having big dreams, big ideals, big imagery. There is a book called The Magic of Thinking Big. It's called Big Things Kill Little Problems. The bigger your dream, the nature in bringing you to a big dream, all your little problems just disseminate because they little. Bills is little. You ain't got time to be thinking about bills. That shouldn't even be on your thoughts. Somebody, your accountant, somebody else should be doing that shit. A wife, somebody else should be doing that shit. You shouldn't be thinking about bills. 100% of your mental power should be devoted to creating and advancing and taking this motherfucker over. That's what it is. Not that. So you're challenging yourself to grow because every opportunity is an opportunity to grow. I'm growing. You know, like if my bills, like if I started, like I created a lifestyle for myself, you know, and I said, well, shit, you know, if bills get too big, it's not that bills are too big. That's the universe telling you it's time for you to grow. That's just the universe telling you. It's called growing pains. It's time for you to grow. You can't, the most deadliest thing a man can do is get comfortable. You got to constantly be challenging yourself to grow because you're either growing or dying. And when you have these principles in your mind, they guide your conduct. They guide your conduct. You know, I got to grow. One of the best things that happened to me is a friend of mine, he was talking to me. When I first started helping people with foreclosure, I was meeting them in Panera Breads and Starbucks and shit like that. And I just had a laptop, and it was 100% word of mouth. People contacting me word of mouth, and I had business every week. I'm making money every week, helping people with foreclosure, all kind of things I'm helping them with. And I meet them at Starbucks and Panera Bread. And I'm driving a damn 1995 Acura Legend. Got a 1995 Acura Legend. So I'm just meeting people. And this dude sat me down. He said, say, man, he said, you need to get you an office. And I said, an office? I said, man, I don't want to pay for no office, man. It seems like that's going to be kind of expensive. I don't need that extra expense. He sat down and explained to me how an office is going to increase your business. I went and got an office. I went from doing that stead at Starbucks to making like $30,000, $40,000 a month and got a Mercedes Benz and wear suits to every day and then got 8 employees. You know, just get in the office, did that shit. You know, I'm like, God damn, you know what I'm saying? And then now I don't have no management skills. I don't have organizational skills. So the next thing I got to learn how to do is trust people and delegate things and do things like that. It's a constant process of growing, man. And you got to challenge yourself out there to do it. But I started, all that shit started, the starting point for it was me just declaring to the universe, I want to make money talking. That's exactly what I said. I said it just like that. I just said, I want to make money talking because I just knew I could just talk. So I said, you know, just talking, you know, and sure enough, you know, it just manifested in a way I never expected. That's what it means. They say, don't worry about the how. The how is a waste of energy. The how is a waste because you don't know how. Nobody knows how. Only thing you're concerned with is the what. What do you want? Okay? That's all. That's only thing being requested of you. Ask and it shall be given. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be open to you. ASK. Ask. Go right back to ask. Ask. But you can't ask when you don't know what you want. So you have to decide what you want. A woman needs to decide what she wants, and then she needs to get with a man that wants the same damn thing. Why are you trying to get with somebody that don't want what you want? That's like jumping on a train that's going north and you fucking with the conductor talking about you want to go south. I'm just saying, you know, I told that story, hopefully inspires someone because it doesn't take much. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't even have a car. I didn't have a car. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted, but I did something I wanted to do. I did something that made me happy. Talking to people online gave me joy. You know, I loved what I was doing for the first time in my life. I loved it. I loved it. You know, I talk 3 hours straight. I do webinars 8 hours, you know. Let's take a break. We do it 4 hours, take a break, come back, do 2 more hours, take a break, come back, do 2 more. I'm doing webinars like that. Those are webinars that if you join SBC University, you can get in the archive section. I ain't doing webinars like that no more. I'm not doing them like that. But I wanted to make sure everybody understood everything. So I poured my heart out. It's not the best quality because I didn't have quality equipment. I got quality equipment now, but I didn't have quality equipment back then. I just had a rinky-dink microphone. First, I was just using a cell phone. I didn't have a microphone because, Blog Talk lets you use your cell phone as your mic. So I was calling in using my cell phone, and the audio was horrible. And then I understood that, and think about this too. I understood that my let me put a camera on myself. I understood that my tool of trade was a mic. So I didn't spare no expense on the mic. I said, I got about 5 of these Shuris, but I got another Shuri with the ball, my original Shuri. When I got that mic, the quality of my shows just went up, and I was just sold on mics from that point on. But that's my tool of trade. My tool of trade, if you're doing any type of podcast, your tool is a mic. So get the best one you can, you know what I'm saying? And that's another thing I developed. I developed this thing with me where I only want the best. I only want to see the best that life has to offer. Why are you here in this life and you don't want to see the best it has to offer? Why would you let life pass you by not experiencing that? There's no other person on this planet more deserving than you are. You deserve it just like anybody else deserves it. These wealthy people ain't no more special than you are. They ain't. They are not special. They got television and shit like that making them special. You have the same shit. You have the right to the same things. They worried about that. They worried you're gonna wake up and become competition. That's what they scared of. That you're gonna discover your power and become a competition to them. They got to keep you dumbed down. They got to keep you distracted. They got to come on in chat rooms and make negative comments and everything to kind of sway you into their way. That's why you got to learn how to think for yourself and use psychic self-defense. You got to be a thinker for yourself. You got to be an independent thinker. You got to listen to the inner voice. You got to listen to that inner voice. Some people ain't listening to that inner voice. That inner voice, that intuition, that's the quick realization of truth. It's not going to misguide you. It's not going to misguide you. That's why people say they have all knowledge in themselves. They do. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have an instructor or a teacher that can guide you. But your intuition, it will tell you, okay, what instructor you need to do that with. Anyway, I know I went off on a tangent, man. You still there?
Of course.
I know you were still there. I was just talking.
I love it.
Yeah, that stream of thought.
You said in there that resonated with me.
What was that?
Several things that you said in there resonated.
What was that?
Get up early. And
yeah.
Always push yourself to take over, conquer. Should always be striving to take over and push yourself. Always challenge yourself. Take on risk. Have faith that you will overcome it.
That's exactly it. You got and I think the key to having faith that you'll overcome it is by understanding the natural laws and understanding the power of positivity. Like every time something happens, if a girl break up with me, I say, you know what? Must be something better coming. Every time I redirect my mental energy into something positive, that the reason that negative thing happened to me so something positive could come into my life, okay, it always happened. And it just supercharges you. You know, it's like you got to stay in that positivity. And that is the key to so much, is keeping a positive mental attitude. You got to keep a positive mental attitude in everything. It's a science I'm talking about. I'm not talking about hocus pocus, mumbo jumbo, religion or nothing like that. I'm talking about a science that fits within the framework of cause and effect, vibration, all of these things that you hear me talk about, these 7 principles. It falls within that framework. So that positivity is a mental frequency that's going to attract something that is exactly like it. Okay, so it's going to bring nothing but positivity into your life, things that make you feel good. That's why you got to do things that make you feel good. You can't deal with people that don't make you feel good. You can't be at a job that don't make you feel good. If you're at a job that don't make you feel good, you're wasting your life. You scared. You got to get out of fear and doubt are the enemies. Fear and doubt. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Ain't no such thing as fear. If the universe was built in love, then where did fear come from? If everything was created with love, then where the fuck is fear come from? That's why he says false evidence appearing real. It's an illusion. It's a phantasmagoria. 90% of the shit you worry about and you're afraid of never even happened. You got to get rid of this fear. And they keep pumping you with it. They keep pumping you with it off the news. There's just a steady stream of fear. The worst that society has to offer, they're going to show it to you on the news. Wars, deaths, robberies, burglaries, rapes, kidnappings, whatever it is, bank robbery, whatever they can show you and throw at you to get you in that fearful state and that negative state of mind. Man, I don't even watch the news. I don't watch the news. I might look at something on YouTube, an interview or something like that. But I don't watch the news and watch all the killings. And I say, you know what? I don't even want to put that in my mind. Because, you know, if you didn't watch the news, the world would be a perfect place. We wouldn't have no, what they call it, the climate change. You wouldn't have, you know, all these things they telling you this is happening. It wouldn't be happening. You would just be living in your area, living in your neighborhood. Sun come up. It rains sometimes. Sometimes we have a bad storm, whatever. But nature would just be going on the way it normally goes on. And you'd be living your life. But they putting images in your mind. They programming you on the TV, being programmed to think a certain way. You know, you got to start thinking for yourself. Start thinking for yourself. You know, it's like you got to protect your mind at all costs and understand that this positivity is necessary in order for you to be happy. Because if you're positive, can't nothing but positive things happen to you. Why they think they pushing negativity? They need the negativity to get their thing on board. They need the negativity because that's where they headed. The world that they want is a negative world. They the negative force. Polarity, everything has 2 sides, good and evil, positive and negative, agreeable and disagreeable. Style it however you want. All right, but they on the other side of the coin. And right now they punking out one side, but the other side, balancement, nature favors balancement. That's why you see people like me springing up, because they're going to send us warriors too. It's like, okay, they got warriors on their side, but we do too. We got warriors on our side who ready to go to war, you know, who ready to go to war. It's like, ain't afraid of nothing. And you got to pick a side. You got to pick a side, and people are choosing their side. And a lot of people with victim mentalities are choosing the other side because they think somebody owes them something. They think somebody wronged them. They angry. They hurt. They done got lost in some negative emotion. And they don't understand that the only way that you can repair that is not by attacking another person, but by looking inward and making a decision that you want to change. That's the only way it can happen. The only way you can defeat it. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Something that you said is really important. You constantly reiterate that you got to read. And I'm going to tell you something. I noticed, and I think this was all by design to get us addicted to these cell phones and these quick 20-second clips and, you know, not reading. I noticed it when about a year and a half, I shut off my GPS on my phone because I grew up reading a map and asking the grocery store or the gas station person for directions, you know, and it kept us in, connection in society. And when I shut that GPS off, Yusef, I tell you, man, I had the hardest time getting from one place to another. And I'm like, wow, my brain is really fried from this. And when I started getting involved in this stuff about a year ago, I was trying to read. And I wasn't able to even get through a page before I just realized that, man, I just skimmed over this whole thing and I didn't retain anything.
You get tired.
And that got really frustrating.
Okay, let me tell you how I overcame that. I'm going to tell you how I overcame that because I had that same exact problem. I overcame that. That's why I can do these, I read stuff online all the time. Because what helped me overcome that pain without like reading with attention, helped me start reading with attention. You have to read with attention. I started reading aloud to myself. And I was cognizant of my enunciation of words, following the rules of grammar, pause at a comma, you know, different things like that. And in me being, paying attention to all those things, that helped me redirect my attention and pay attention more to what I was reading. As a matter of fact, I truly believe that is the secret of being a straight A student in college, is to be the ability to read with attention. I think the reading without attention is the number one downfall of people, why they can't graduate college or anything like that, or drop out of school, because the information doesn't have their attention. They're bored with it or something like that. And you got to garner interest in it. And usually boredom comes from the fact that if you're reading something, there's too many words that you don't know the definition of. So then you got to make a habit of expanding your vocabulary, and you can only do that by looking up words. And you start looking up words and things become more interesting. The more words you look up, things just get more and more interesting. And as things get more and more interesting, you start to focus. You start paying attention. You start paying attention. And now that information is seeping into your subconscious. And so when it's time, you can recall it easily. You can start spitting it like I'm spitting it over the air because it was interesting. You ain't going to recall nothing you're not interested in. You got to make the information interesting. And the only way to do that is through comprehension. You can't be interested in something you don't comprehend. So you have to have comprehension. Comprehension, everything we're dealing with words. The only way you can have comprehension is you got to look up the damn words. That's why I'm constantly at a dictionary. Every time I get on one of these lives with you, open a dictionary. Every time. Because you have to be into words. Y'all walking around, I'll be on my Facebook group, I'll be looking at them. They just, most of the people in there, they just trying to get something. They ain't really trying to learn nothing. They just trying to solve a problem. They not real, like when we were studying this, and shout out to Ramez, if you're watching me, brother, up in New York. I know we used to play chess and talk about this stuff, and you were a big contributing part of where I am today. That's why I'm shouting out you and Hakeem. All right. But those brothers, they got me, focused in this information. And I kind of got off track where I was at and everything talking about. But those brothers right there, they started getting me listening, looking up words, talking about what happened in court and things like that. Just got my interest in it, just at a real, real high level. And they predicted it too. They said, man, you're going to be the baddest dude in this. They was telling me this way back then. They say, man, you got a memory out of this world. He said, wait till it's time. Everybody just kind of knew. They were telling me I was going to be on stage like this. They were telling me that for a long time. And I didn't ever think about it. That wasn't the plan. That was definitely not the plan, but it's just seemed like it happened just gradually. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead and ask your question. I'm rambling. I'm gonna have to ask the next phone call.
No, I'm gonna bounce and let somebody else have an opportunity. But man, I love you, brother. I appreciate you so much, and I look forward to. I put you in while I'm working. I just have you in the earphone, and you make the day go by faster. And got plenty of stuff to look up when I get home. So keep on keeping on.
I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate it. Peace, God. All right. Okay. Now, yeah. Where are we going to go to next? Let's go to, what is this right here? This is our Cal. Let's go to West Coast. 760-7913. You on the line.
Peace.
Peace, God. What's happening?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, man.
Peace to the guys. Yusef, it is an honor and a privilege to speak to you once again. I have a question for you about contracts.
Okay.
Implied contracts.
Okay.
So an implied contract is a contract that exists based on the actions of those involved.
Conduct.
Right?
Conduct of the parties. Implied contract is based off conduct.
Okay. Okay. So is there a way to say you prove that there is an implied contract and you could go to court with that?
Well, every contract has offer, acceptance, and consideration. You still need all those elements. I think I can use, how can I prove there's a contract when you go and eat in a restaurant? What kind of contract is that when you go to a restaurant and eat? You didn't sign a contract, but what consummates the contract?
It's implied.
Huh?
It's implied, right?
Yeah, but what consummates? It's a contract,
right?
So what consummates it? If you go to a restaurant.
The conduct.
But what conduct did you engage in the restaurant? You ate the food. You ate the food.
Yeah, eating the food.
Now, are you going to try to get up and leave without paying?
No.
Okay, but did you sign a contract? No.
No, but it was implied because of the place.
Exactly.
And all that, right?
It was implied. Exactly. So that's why it's an implication from the conduct of the parties that there's some sort of contractual nexus that exist. Okay, so, George Mercier, he has a book called Invisible Contracts, which is just another way of saying implied contracts. But that's why I direct people to that book.
I watched the video. Watched the video that you did on it, and it was fantastic, all your videos. Well, the reason why I'm asking you this is public notice a form of an implied contract? Like, for example, say you park your car in some parking lot overnight, and you go the next day, and it's gone. And there's a sign there that says no overnight parking or vehicle will be towed at owner's expense. You can't really do nothing, right? Because the sign's there, and regardless of
they gave you notice,
being aware of the public notice or not, it
right.
was there, so you can't really do shit.
Well, so that's true. That's why. Okay, I got you. I got it. I think I know where you're heading. You're talking about giving notices in the public and forming an implied contract through those notices.
Well, because on my van, I believe the font of the letters may not be the correct size for it to be legitimate. But like on my van, I have on the window it says towing / Grand Theft Auto prohibited. Violators will release for free, and it says this is an implied contract. implied contract is a contract that is based on the actions of those involved. So since it's public notice, and if they tow my shit, which they have, shouldn't I be able to take them to court, whatever, have my shit released?
No, because, okay, if they towed it, okay, first of all, you're in a municipality, and they got their interest trumps your, you got public rights and you got private rights. You only have rights as long as you don't infringe on their rights. So what right do you have to park in a space in the public that they have allocated or zoned for a specific purpose? You can't do that, okay?
Well, based on the information in the video that you've done, even though it's not your information, but the right to travel, and isn't there case law and all that? And
yeah, right to travel. Let's talk about right to travel. Right to travel means that you're not engaged in any type of commercial conduct. But George Mercier, which I really love that book, he says that you're right. You're not supposed to. However, you're using Federal Reserve notes. This is what Howard Freeman was saying too. I want you to look at the minimum contacts. You're using Federal Reserve notes, which are specifically allocated for business purposes. So using a commercial script.
They took all the gold in 1933, right? The room for the choice.
Huh?
Which I've heard you say before.
You don't have no choice. You're absolutely correct. Because what we're talking about with the government is a presumption, assumption, and color of law. Okay, through these implied contracts, they have the right to form a presumption about you. Okay, you got a car that's registered. You got you got a driver's license. Your kid's in public school. You're using fiat currency. You got a bank account you open with a social security number. Huh? Go ahead.
No, my van wasn't registered because I didn't want to register it with them, because you register it to them, it's theirs, right? So I didn't have it registered. So I had to get it registered to get it out of impound because they told it. Okay,
let's talk about notices. Let's talk about notice, UCC 1-202, and the notices that the Uniform Commercial Code, and maybe you can draw some principles from this. And I really like the notice provision in the UCC because it states that just filing a UCC-1 is not enough. Okay, you get this, and I think it's UCC 1-302. They talk about it. You got to no, it's in secure transactions. I forgot what code it is, but in Article 9. But you have to also send a notice to the people. So this is why, when we do a commercial process, when we send stuff to the Treasury Department, or if I send a notice to anyone, I send it with a UCC-1. Okay, I file it on a UCC-1, and then I send a copy of the UCC-1 to whoever it is that I'm corresponding with. I have to let them know. That is the way that you have to let a person know that you have a perfected priority interest. All right, so the word perfected is key. That means that
First in line, first in time.
First in line, first in time, but you followed a certain procedure to merit that position. All right, that's what the word perfected is alluding to, that you followed some sort of procedure that perfected that process. So they got steps to do that. So you have to not only file a UCC-1, but you got to also send a copy of the UCC-1 to the person who you perfected an interest against. This is why in our process with the secured party, you not only file a UCC-1, you got to send a copy of it to the Treasury Department. We're not just doing that because they want to give them a copy. That's part of the rules. You got to give them notice. Everything that's working in commerce surrounds notice. You can't take an action against someone unless you give proper notice. Now, you're arguing that you gave sufficient notice. That's what you're saying. Okay, well.
Yeah, the public notice is there. You know, if they became aware.
Well, did a municipality take your car, or did a carrier take your car?
The police municipality came and took it.
Okay, so did you give the police a notice, of your interest, as well as a fee schedule for the violation of that interest? Because now we got to talk about enforcement. So if they got proper notice, what is the enforcement behind that? What is the penalty behind that? We are dealing in the game of commerce. The penalty is always monetary. There's always some sort of pecuniary reward for somebody violating or dishonoring someone. Their whole game board is about that. Look with Kanye West. They got rid of Kanye. They got mad at Kanye West. What was it? Took his money. What about Kyrie Irving? Got mad at him. What they do? $500,000 fine. Everything is about money in this because we own a monopoly board. So you got to do the same thing. You got to issue.
Control, right?
Huh?
I think it's more about control, right? Because they print the money. They don't need our money.
Well, that's not here or there. My thing is you trying to get some of that monopoly money from them. All right. So the thing you want to do is we got to hit them with a notice and their fee schedule. The fee schedule lets them know, like, look, man, you violate this is going to cost you 500,000 monopoly $100 bills. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is you're going to get, but that's how much money it's going to cost you. Federal Reserve notes. I want $500,000 worth of Federal Reserve notes every time you violate one of these. We on the board now. We playing the game. Federal Reserve notes have value on the board. Federal Reserve notes don't have no value off the board, just like monopoly money don't have no value off the monopoly board. That's what, see, we're in a Federal Reserve system. This is called a Federal Reserve system. And you have member banks. They've elected to be members of this system. You got to look at the terminology that they're using. We're playing on their board. Okay? You can start your own game. You can make your own game board.
90 seconds.
But they got the majority of the people because they got. Huh?
I thought we did that because I believe I've heard you say something to the effect of, like, with the straw man, for example. Since since I didn't create the straw man, then I don't really own it. They own it. That's
No.
the same thing with the automobiles. I didn't manufacture it.
Okay, let me talk about that. You're right. You don't own, it's not the straw man. It is the energy of the straw man. What they're after, ultimately is your labor, because the straw man is just a construct of the mind. It's just something that is created out of the belfry of someone's imagination. The real thing in reality is getting control of your labor. And since pursuant to the 13th Amendment of the Constitution for the United States of America, involuntary servitude is unconstitutional, then once I wake up and I elect not to voluntarily be a servant of these people by pledging my labor to them in the repayment of the national debt, and I do that via the Social Security number.
Yeah,
Huh?
I'm not a citizen. I watch you.
What you say don't mean nothing. It's what you do. They don't go by what you say. It's called form versus substance. You can say whatever you want to say, but actions speak louder than words. Have you stopped using the Social Security number?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the thing. Have you ordered your life in such a way where you can make that statement? Because that's what they looking at. They looking at, okay, you talking that shit, but you still using these benefits and privileges over here. And I'm not saying that you can't use the benefits and privileges. What I am saying is you should utilize those benefits and privileges through a corporate created entity, separate from yourself. That's why everything in your life has to be business related.
Well, my point with kind of what I was almost getting to was, well, didn't we, the people, create the government? So don't we own the government? Shouldn't we have
we own the government, but we also gave certain powers to them. And see, this is where studying trust law will help people. Trustees have all the power. Once in an irrevocable trust, the trustees have all the power. Okay, in the government, under those delegated powers, they all powerful. They got a word called plenary power. It's called plenary. Let me put it on the screen for you. It's called plenary power. You got to understand what plenary, that's a very important. Plenary power. Wait, hold on. That was plenary because you asking questions, and I'm sitting there telling you, talking about we created the government. Yeah, we created the government. So they still got delegation of powers. They got public rights doctrine.
By who?
They got delegated the powers by us, but it's in writing. It's in writing. It's a contract. It's a contract. It's a contract.
Yeah, but I didn't.
Huh?
I didn't delegate anything. I'm not.
Okay, then get out. Then get out. You don't have to be a participant. You don't have to be a participant. It's a free country. You can go get you a allodial title to your land. You can put you a solar panel up. You can dig your well in the ground and get your water, and you can take yourself out of society. That's called being private. Huh?
How
Say what?
Title by conquest, right?
No,
Title by conquest?
title by
Is that how
conquest
they
is
do
how
it?
the United States got control of this continent. That's not germane to what we're discussing right now. What we're discussing right now is the interaction of the citizens with public servants, okay, and their corresponding duties that they owe to each other. We have a duty to them and they have a duty to us. All things not delegated are reserved to us. What's reserved to us is anything in the private, anything that's not enumerated in the Constitution. Okay, we have authority over. Okay, that's why they try to turn everything into a commercial matter, because they got the Commerce Clause. We delegated the power to regulate commerce, so that's why they made everything commercial. They made everything commercial.
And anything using federal notes falls under their jurisdiction, right?
Say what?
Everyone that uses Federal Reserve notes basically falls under their
Yes,
jurisdiction.
you're
right?
absolutely correct. The Federal Reserve is a
Even though
private, the Federal Reserve is not even a governmental entity. It is a private bank that is, huh?
No, yeah, I'm aware of that. They're a private bank. They're not federal, absolutely.
Yeah, but they wrote them a trust indenture agreement. If you go read the Federal Reserve Act, if you read, it ain't nothing but a trust. They just took a trust document and put it in a statutory scheme. It's just a damn trust. You go read the Federal Reserve Act. All right. The Federal Reserve Act is the trust agreement that the United States has with the Federal Reserve. And then we start using Federal Reserve notes when it says specifically in our Constitution that only Congress can coin gold and silver and coin money and regulate the value thereof. So how is a foreign entity in control of our monetary system? How they did it is they went to the territories where Congress has plenary power. So they operate out of a territory, and to invite us in that territory, they dangled benefits and privileges over our head and gave us a social security number to access it. So that's what they mean when they say they usurped our power. We are the sovereigns, but you ain't a sovereign to anybody you are dependent on. How you a sovereign and you dependent on somebody? The duties, the government, okay, this is the next thing. Okay, we have to understand. What are the original duties of government? The duties of government is to protect your borders, protect your property, and protect your liberty. That's the only duty that they owe to the American people. Outside of that, they offer what's called a government service, which is a benefit and a privilege. It's a government service. They don't owe that to us. They don't owe that to us. That's a benefit and a privilege. And they can tax us for the use of that property because it's a service. They're giving a service and they're going to get paid for it.
I got a question about the on the right to travel stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
The citations from the judges that are saying, the people have the right to travel. Without,
they do.
The rights being infringed and this and that. I mean, doesn't the government already know all that already? Or
okay, let me ask you this: Do you have a VIN number on your car? Do you have a VIN number on your car?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay, that car was manufactured at a corporation that is owned by the government, or the government regulates. Just like with the like I can pose the same question to you. Don't we have a right to bear arms? Right? Doesn't the government already know that?
Absolutely.
Then why do I have to get a gun license? Or why, if I get convicted of a crime, you can take a gun away from me and all this? If I have a right, because you can't take away a right. If I got a right to this, then why is it that they regulating it?
You don't know your right to have that.
That's true, but that's not the reason.
You don't know your
That's not the reason. And I'm going to tell you why. And how I learned this is from helping people with criminal cases. And I'm going to explain it to you. Okay. I was doing a case with a young man in Florida. He was a drug dealer. And he was a young guy. He's probably 19 years old. Never been out the state of Florida before. All right. So he's at a hotel with his girlfriend. And he's a small time dope dealer too. He only got a few little baggies and all this kind of stuff. He ain't no big time dope dealer or whatever. He's like on the corner, pedal hustling, this kind of cat. So the feds arrest him, which is really unusual for the feds. Unless the feds been getting petty lately, because usually they really don't fuck with nothing under $10,000. They had their little bar that they go, but it seemed like in a couple of cases I seen them get a little petty with the people that they pick up. But anyway, I'm talking to him. He got arrested. He got a gun charge. Okay, so he's never been out the state of Florida. So my first question is, how is the feds even picking up this case if there's no interstate commerce? There's no interstate jurisdiction. This is totally the state's jurisdiction. Huh?
No, his firearm was manufactured somewhere else?
His firearm was manufactured in Baltimore and it went across state lines. That's the jurisdictional element they use in the complaint, okay, to get jurisdiction, but it didn't work. That worked, but I think they ended up letting him go or something like that, but that did work. But that was the jurisdictional element. It was the car. See, they own the corporations. Okay, the corporations are beholden to the government. So that's why we have a private trust. A private trust is not. That's one of the few entities that is not. But the corporations, if you go down to the Secretary of State and you register, they are in control. That's called an ens legis, a creature of the state. It's a creature of the state. All right, so the products that are coming from that creature of the state, they consider it is theirs, not yours. So that's the dilemma.
The original manufacturer.
Well, if you get the manufacturer statement of origin, I do think that there is an argument for title or what's called a lodial title to property, because that's what you want. You want a lodial title to property without any legal disability, without any type of clouds on that title. You know, that's what we're looking for. I agree with that. I'm not saying that can't be accessed either. All I'm saying, when I come on and talk, what I'm talking about is I deal with people every day. A lot of you people call in, you don't. I deal with a large variety of people, okay? And I've been doing it for years. So I think I got a finger on the pulse of people. And I know people's hearts and everything. And some things that you asking for the great majority, you got to let people take baby steps to get where they need to get. So if I say form a corporation, I don't think that that's the end game, but I think that that is the very first step into achieving your goal. You got to get the people taking steps, doing something, and they can see a result from it. You know, things like that. You know, it's just like losing weight. You know, you get motivated when you see results. You know, so you got to give them something they can take step by step and see some sort of result. And always keeping in mind, at the end of the day, it's all about being happy, not about the right to travel, not about secure party, not about nationality. It ain't about none of that shit. At the end of the day, it's about your right to seek in pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. That's your fundamental right.
I want freedom.
Huh?
I don't want liberty. I want freedom.
Well, that's fine. You're absolutely correct. You do want freedom, but that is what their duties are. Their duties is to give you liberty. They govern. They govern. If you're going to govern something, you're allowed certain liberties. You know, you do have a duty to the public when you come into the public. When you're in the private, you can do anything you want as long as it doesn't cross or damage somebody else's property or what they are trying to do. As long as you didn't encroach somebody else and their egress back and forth on this planet, you find you can do whatever you want to do. As a matter of fact, there are websites I've seen where they say that they admit that being private means not being under any law. But you have to be under some law. You have to be under the laws of God, because you have to have something regulating your conduct in the private. And the only thing that's doing that is God's law.
Absolutely. So if I was going to do a UCC1, would having a LLC be a step in that, right?
If you use what now? What did you say?
If I attempt to become a secured party,
right,
creditor, slash creditor, I should get a LLC, right? So
well, yeah, you can do that. I mean, that's not related to being a secured party, but it is in the sense that is a step in the secured party process. But when I say get a corporation, I'm just talking to people in general, whether they do a secured party process or not. Okay, I'm telling them everything don't have. The secure party process is about discharging debt. The reason and protecting yourself against liens, because the reason you want to do that is because money creation is done through liens on property or interest in property. Okay. So yeah, there's a commercial aspect to everything that we engaging in. And so you want to start learning commerce a little bit. So, you know, get your corporation, start familiarizing yourself or acclimating yourself to understanding artificial persons. Because these are artificial persons. You can look up the word artificial person in the Black's Law Dictionary. It's going to have corporation in there.
I have. I've followed you for a while, and I'm pretty familiar.
Yeah. So now this is the land of make believe. It's the land of make believe. It's like, why are we getting caught up? It's the land of make believe. You can't see this you go form a corporation. Where is it at? You form the corporation. It's a piece of paper. It's on a piece of paper. But I carry around my corporation in my head like that shit actually exists. But I think that's how you manifest it, because I see a big building and shit like that, and lots of people working there with me, and just doing things like that. It's like that's a vision, but it still is just something in your mind, a corporation. So like that's why we say in the courtroom, they say, well, who has the claim? They say the state of Georgia has the claim. And so we say to them, well, I call the state of Georgia to the witness stand. And they'll say, well, that's crazy. Yeah, well, I think it's crazy that I'm going against something called the state of Georgia, which is a legal fiction, or state of Texas, state of California, whatever, an entity that I cannot talk to, that I cannot touch, that I cannot harm in any way. All right. But you're going to put that on the citation of a pleading and then put my name under it in all capital letters and make me think that that is me going against an artificial person, something that somebody just pulled out of their mind. Okay. And I got to go against that. And me losing to that is going to take away my freedom or cost me some money or something like that. But I'm supposed to accept that and not be crazy.
So how can I sue the city for stealing my property? Because I had a different van parked over here at my house, and code enforcement came and said it's a public nuisance. I looked at the definition of public nuisance, and it didn't fit the description at all.
Okay, well then you need to do an administrative process against them. You can't just launch off into anyone. You got to go to your brother in peace first and see if you can resolve the issue peacefully. That's going to be done through some sort of correspondence. We call it an administrative process. All right, where you would put together a letter.
Absolutely.
You would put together a letter. You're going to send a certified mail with an affidavit of mailing from a notary. All right, because you need two witnesses, because letters are contracts, and contracts on the private side, and that's how we resolve our issues, and that's how we interact with other entities, including the government, is through contracts. So I'm trying to contract with the government, so I'm going to contact them and say, look, on the day in question, my automobile was taken by one of your agents, okay? And in complete disregard to a public notice that I posted on said vehicle or said conveyance or whatever it is that you want to say. I'm herein demanding that you compensate me for the damages in X, Y, Z amounts, absent of which I will begin to issue,
Is there a time limit on that, though?
Yeah, you got to put a time limit on everything. You can't just do something and just give somebody no time limit.
No, I'm saying for me to make I'm saying for me to start my administrative process.
I don't know how long it's been since you had the issue with your car, but they do got something in equity called latches. Do you know what latches is? Latches? That's an equitable principle. You taking too long to do something. They got principles of equity too that says you must be vigilant in the prosecution of your rights. You can't sleep on your rights. So yeah, time is always of the essence. So yeah, you got to do something. You can't let it languish. You got to do something. So yeah, send them a notice. Put together this is what I would do. I'd sit down and write them a letter, and I'd support it with an affidavit stating what happened. And because what you have to provide also in commerce, an affidavit. Truth can only be expressed in the form of an affidavit. You got to allow them an opportunity to rebut that affidavit, because your truth is your truth. Okay, when you go into a court, you got facts. Facts are when both sides agree. When both sides disagree, we have what's called a material issue of fact. So we're talking about stipulations and agreements. All right, so we're trying to secure an agreement with them prior to going to court. So I'm going to write them a letter. Okay, you gave them a notice. You should have given them a notice with a fee schedule, tell them how much all this is going to cost in violation of this notice, or violation of, taking my private property from me, because that's what you're calling it, right? Private property. That's private property they took from you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you took my private property. I need this also to take care of my family. That's going to cost you some money. Let's not talk about, the mental anguish that I've gone through. That's going to cost you some money. They do it to you. If you fuck with them in any kind of way, they're going to fine you, try to lock you up. Everything you deal with these people costs money or time in jail. And time in jail is just really money. Because you have to pay for something. You pay a tax. You can pay a tax with things other than money, which are labor or doing time. So that's the thing about it. You know what I'm saying? Everything is about money with these people. So it should be that with you. You're on a commercial chessboard. Equality under the law is mandatory. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If they want to play that game on the Monopoly board, you got to play the game too. Say, okay, well, look, this is going to cost you, bro. You know, you done injured me. Okay, and I'm going to demonstrate this injury. You got to demonstrate an injury if you want equitable relief. So how were you injured?
Okay.
When they took your conveyance, I was injured because I couldn't get to work. I wasn't able to get home.
Yeah.
It cost me some money to get home.
Able to get food for my family.
I had to go see a damn psychiatrist. Whatever. You know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? How were you injured? That's what the judge gonna ask.
Another question.
How were you injured? Go ahead.
Who do you think is pulling the strings behind the government? Do you think it is the extraterrestrial underground reptilian?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. I think it is something extraterrestrial. I do believe it's something extraterrestrial. I think it is reptilian in nature. I don't think it's just one type of reptilian. I think that they tell us all the time things that are happening on this planet, like Men in Black. A lot of people didn't even never heard the word Men in Black before the movie came out. I knew about the Men in Black probably 10, 15 years before that movie came out, because I was reading all of this stuff and studying all this stuff, you know, way before any of this stuff came out, for these movies and stuff started coming out talking about all this stuff. You know, so I look at it and see, yeah, they got the same, but people, they just look at something for entertainment. But us have been studying for a long time, like, wow, they telling people. They trying to tell people. Yeah. They're trying to tell people what's going on. That's how we looking at it. We looking at it as trying to tell people what's going on. Because this always goes back to War of the Worlds by that broadcast by H.G. Wells. He did a radio broadcast, I think in the 1930s, where it was where he were reporting aliens attacking the earth, and everybody went crazy. Motherfuckers started jumping out of windows, killing themselves, and doing all kind of. It went crazy. Go and study this. And so they started something called the Blue Book File, where they like, look, we gonna close this up. We can't tell these people. We got to keep them under control. They can't handle the fact that there's other life in the universe. So we got to close this up until the time we get them acclimated to this. And so that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you acclimated to it slowly. They can't spring it on everybody. But you see they're doing it more and more. They're talking about it now in Congress now, UFO sightings and all this stuff. What about the crop circles? Yeah. What about the crop circles? Y'all go on TV, television, y'all right now. Man, let me pull up this. I can't even pull up my damn Google. Let me pull this up.
Yeah, there's some crazy crop circles. No way some men with boards can do it in a night.
Man, these crop circles. You got these. I wish I had the video. Let me see if I got the videos of these crop circles. They still occurring to this day. They don't never talk about it on the news. They just appear overnight. Huge. These things are gigantic. They perfect. They perfect. God dang, okay, yeah, this is.
What about the Skinwalker Ranch?
Yeah, they got, let me see, like, dang, man. Over to it. They trying to talk about, what is this? Oh man, this is another damn video. Hold on, let me show these people these crop circles.
Yusef, you're the man. Let's get these lights up.
Oh man, what is it? Coming over aliens, circling over. Oh man, it's something else. I'm trying to get to the. I thought I just. Thousands of crop circles. So it said ancient alien. Oh, this is ancient aliens. But, you know, you can go and check it, man. The universe is mental. So right there, you know, when you asked me the question about aliens, you know, I've studied a lot of information, and some of it I can't explain. Some of them I'm very impressed with. Like this conversation, they got one on my BitChute, this conversation with an alien, and it's a gray. And man, that gray was just, you know, that gray was saying things I'd never heard before, but made perfect sense. Everything he was saying was just super intelligent. And I'm like, I don't think they could make this shit up. You know, it's just some things you have to look at like some people, and then you'll have somebody come along and try to cast doubt on it. They'll say, oh, you know, they Hollywood making real good stuff. Just ignorant. You got to be careful because those could be agents doing that too. They could come on there and they want you to start thinking it's a joke. You got to always think for yourself and don't allow another person to sway your thinking on anything. You got to trust in yourself on everything. So when I'm looking at this information, you know, and I consider myself to be an intelligent person, I don't engage in whimsical matters or, you know, or chasing after phantasms or anything like that. I think things logically through, and I analyze what people are saying. And at the end of the day, if it's an extraterrestrial or not, if they're giving some information that I deem as powerful, you know, that can change my life or whatever, I don't care if it's an extraterrestrial or not. He just gave me some information. And first of all, remember this, is if you hear something that you've never heard before, but you understand it, that's divine. That's divine. Somebody sent something divine to you, you know, that you just comprehended. It's like this truth that you can just imbibe. And then you have to look at the person who is giving that to you and say, you know what, you can't be from this world. I don't know if you're an angel or something like that, but like the way that you just did that don't come from this world. That don't come from this world. It's just stuff like that that will hit you, you know? It's going to be stuff like that that's going to hit you. And you're like, that didn't come from this world. That's when you're going to start to believe in extraterrestrials or angels or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Some sort of other intelligence. The universe is teeming with intelligence. Teeming with intelligence. There's intelligences around you right now you can't see.
Well, they say we're the most intelligent creatures on this planet, you know, but we're the only ones who have to pay to live. So how intelligent?
I don't know about that. I heard that the whales and the dolphins were the most intelligent, but or the octopus. I've seen some octopus do some super intelligent things. You ain't lying. Yeah, but I seen animals. Let me tell you something, man. I study animals so much. I understand why the Egyptians and everybody studied animals, because in studying animals, it connects you to nature. You know, it connects you to the nature of things. And when, you know, you just look at the intelligence in animals, I can see, I don't even say nobody could ever kill an animal like a dog. I love all animals. I love dogs and cats. I've had everything, hamsters, weasels, ferrets. I had just about every damn thing growing up as I could as birds. You know, I didn't like my birds to be in a bird cage, though. I would let them fly around my house and they could just be wherever they wanted to be. I didn't like them being in a cage. Or I'd leave the cage open so they could just fly in and out the cage like they wanted to. But I've had all kind of animals, and then, you know, it's just incredible to look at animals. I remember one time my birds, I came home and I came through the door and they started attacking me. These motherfuckers was just flying at my head. And I thought they went crazy. I'm like, I'm gonna need to kill these birds. And then I went in and looked at their cage, and the door fell shut on their cage, and they couldn't get to their water. And I just put fresh water in there, opened it up. They went right in the cage to drink. They were thirsty. You know, animals are trying to communicate to you. You know, we got to learn how to listen to the language of animals. That's your connection. That's the universal language. That's the universal spirit. Huh?
Too bad we're killing all the animals. I recently heard that, or like just yesterday, I think, I heard that mankind has killed like 60% of the animals on this planet. We're killing the planet. We're killing the animals.
Because we're eating everything. We're eating animals. You want to eat animals, man. We want to eat animals. But you know what? I'm going to say this. Now that you say that, this is the question that I ask. Why does God or in nature, animals eat each other? They eat each other. When I look at nature, this is why I talk like a man and a man's man. Because when I look in nature, only the strong survive. There is no fucking mercy for the weak. There's nothing in nature. I'm talking about from the insect kingdom. I just got through looking at these Japanese hornets, you know, mutilate these damn honeybees and everything. Whole damn thousands of them, a colony. Only took about 24 of them. Kill all of them and everything. Or lions, you know, watching lions. Lion pride is like watching them. They intelligent, you know, how they raise their children and how to fight, you know, you just study them. It's like, this is a damn, when you start studying animals, this is what I think. I believe in evolution, and I believe that right now we have been given our opportunity to run the planet. But I do think that in millions of years, they are going to evolve, and they're going to be like a lion man or a lion woman. It's going to be a whole different branch other than the primate or the mammal. But I think lions are going to. I think lions are going to get there. Monkeys are going to get there. I think that it's just a lot of animals that are super intelligent, and we start studying them. It's like, man, like this thing right here is like, no, they talking about the animals don't have souls and all this kind of shit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. They love their young. They love their young. I watched a cat. There's a meme of a cat looking for its kitten, finding its kitten, and then when he found the kitten, he made sure the kid was okay. Then she slapped the kitten and then picked the kitten up with her mouth, and the kitten crying, and she taking the kitten on home. Just like we do. Just like if you found your lost child, like, where you been? What, you had me scared to death. Pow.
Yep.
Come on with me and everything. That is exactly what that cat did. That's exactly what that. I saw so much intelligence. I saw in that cat at that moment. I saw love for his child, relief that had been found, relief. She was out looking for a child. She had other kittens. She was looking through the neighborhood looking for this one kitten. This kitten standing on the corner. She slapped the shit out of him and grabbed his ass and took him home. But you look at that, when you start to tune in with that, that's going to make you change your heart too and make you respect all life. Because it's intelligence.
Yeah, but humanity needs to change their diet. You know, I'm not 100% vegan. I eat mostly fruits and vegetables. But I heard that mankind we're not even supposed to eat meat. The reason why.
You know what? People going to make an argument. People are going to make arguments about that. So I don't get into that.
Let me say this one sentence. If we were supposed to eat meat, we would eat it raw and bloody each time.
I agree, without seasoning on it. Without seasoning, I agree. My thing is this. What I tell people to do, you can't make people just do something and say it. They got to prove things to themselves. Okay, and I remember Dr. Jewel Pookrum. She had said this on one time. I was listening to one of her tapes, and she was talking about how her realization about meat came when one day she was in the cafeteria. You know, she's a surgeon or whatever, and she ate some meat and it put her to sleep, and she fell asleep, and she went to sleep. And that's happened to me several times. If you stop eating meat for a while and then go back and eat it, it'll put you to sleep. You'll start to see how it's poisoning your body. See, that's the thing most of these people can't do. They so poisoned up. They can't see the difference that the meat how the meat is affecting their body, because it's a lack of awareness. So to develop that lack of awareness, you got to remove yourself from it a little while to clean out your body so you have a baseline to operate from. And now you want to say, okay, let me do this. Let me try this, and let me see the cause and effect associated with that. And that's the thing. And that's how I think you'll start to come to the conclusion that I don't really think we're supposed to be eating meat. You know, I see the effect it has on the body. And I really think that we should be getting away from it now, because they're doing lab-grown meat and they're putting all kind of shit in it. And I think the only safe way to avoid all of that is just don't eat the shit. Just don't eat it.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, man. Look, I got to go to the next caller, man. I got to go to the next call. I got to take a call.
Hold on. There's two more. Hold on.
Now, I can't.
Two more things.
I can't do two more things, man. I got somebody else come in. I can't do two more things. I got to give somebody else a chance. All right.
It's very, very important. It's very important. Very important. Please.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
About the comet hypothesis.
About the what?
The comet hypothesis. The comet hypothesis. The scientists say in April, Friday 13th, 2029, it's going to hit the Earth. If it doesn't hit the Earth, it's going to go back out into space, return 7 years later, April, Friday 13th, 2036, and hit the Earth. No,
it's not, because I'm not accepting that, because we have the power to deflect it with our minds, and we don't need to be introducing no doom and gloom. But I appreciate. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day.
All right. Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right. All right. Let me go back to the next caller. Let me do 267. Let's see. 267. What is 267? That's PA, Pennsylvania. 267 0226. You're on the line. PA.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. I've just started my own nation. I'm a American Indian from the tribe of Anyanguia, and I officially started my own nation in Philly, and also with the feds. I registered with the feds, and also with the state. I registered my name. I didn't register a fictitious name. I registered my own name, and with my title. I made a few comments on your show.
Okay.
I'm in Rakeem Keon Alexander.
How you doing?
America.
How you doing, brother? How you doing? Wait a minute, I just want to interject for a quick second, though. So what is the significance of registering your name? I'm just interested in that because you felt you wanted to tell me that, so it must be significant. So why did you register your name?
I registered my name. It's in the proper form. It's not in the all caps form no more. I didn't register as a business as all.
That don't
caps,
matter. That don't
so
mean nothing.
in the proper form as my own name.
That don't mean nothing. It's in the public. If it's in the public, let me tell you something. What governs is not how the style of the name. The style of the name is just to inform you of its nature. Okay, everything in the public belongs in the public. The public and private don't mix. Okay, that's why I give you those principles. Once you know that principle.
That's correct, but
okay, go ahead. You gotta tell me. Go ahead.
My thing is though, I created my own government, and with House Resolution 331 states that we have the right to have our own nation and self-government and autonomy, and also American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People says we get their own land, own property, own court systems, own everything. And I also am banking with gold and silver. I have my I buy gold and silver, and I also have accounts that I deal with gold and silver. And so I literally do the best I can, do all I can do to live sovereign. And I don't like those Federal Reserve notes. That's why I was able to through the law of attraction find accounts where I can be able to spend gold and silver with a credit card with a check. So basically a check written in gold and silver, that's money written in gold and silver. So basically I have the ability to write my money with gold and silver, and I literally am starting my government, and I am, Alexander literally means the savior of man or the hero of man. That's who I am. I'm establishing my government, which is America, and I'm going to be able to order it and establish it, and it's going to last forever. I'm the fulfillment of the scripture. I'm in right here in the flesh. And I just wanted to let you know it's not through the power of man, it's through the power of the Most High, which gives me.
So basically, you a God? Oh wait, hold on.
Yes.
I'm Yusef.
Yes, I'm a God.
Okay, I'm a God.
Yes.
You understand that, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure because I'm listening to you talk, and it sounds like you talking like you the savior or something. So I'm just
what I'm saying. What I'm saying
go ahead.
Here is that I am.
Okay.
My name is Rakeem, means the chief ruler. I am the king of kings. The key one means the city of David. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally am this, Alexander, which means Allah or
So who you the king of?
The X-Man.
Who you the king of?
Literally that man, the red man.
Who are you the king of?
I am the king of, I'm Osiris. I'm the king of everybody. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're not the king of me, bro. You're not the king of me, bro. You're not the king of me.
Okay.
See, I'm a God. Okay.
Who's your king?
Kings bow down to gods.
Right?
You're not my.
You know who?
I don't care who you are, dog. You crazy. You in your own mind, man. You in your own mind, bro. I don't need that, man. You smoking something, bro. You is not my damn. You ain't over nothing. You not over me. This is my first time hearing you. You know how you crazy you sound. The only thing that you can be a god of is yourself. Man, let me get you out there, man. Don't make me hang up on you, man.
Isaiah 63. Listen to this right here.
I don't need to quote a scripture. So hold on. You gonna quote a scripture to me to prove who you are just because you came on the air talking about your name? That's what you're gonna do.
No,
where is this? Where are you doing this banking? Where's show me your registration? This gold that you got. Where you doing your banking? Where's your military? Where's your enforcement? And where's your land? Where's your land? Where's your military? Okay, well, who the fuck are you going to go to that's going to listen to you? Can you go tell the president to do something right now?
Right now, I'm establishing it. Because, the United States of America is a federal corporation, which is the woman in the situation. And I'm the Indian, and I'm the head of them. And that's the way I'm going in court. And then I told the judge I don't understand him. I overstand him. And you know what he did? He recused himself from the case, and he sent me to another judge. So right now,
okay, that's happened to a lot of people. That happens to a lot of people. That happens to a lot of people. That happens to a lot of people. You know how you got to stand under something?
All I'm saying,
you know, like what Jordan Maxwell was telling us in the occult world of commerce. He was talking about that stand over and stand under, where y'all got all that shit from. Jordan Maxwell. He must be your guide because you quoting him right now.
Nah, don't mean my God. Somebody's my God because I can quote you. Don't mean you my God.
Okay, well, don't mean, it damn sure don't mean you mine.
Like you quote anybody.
It don't damn sure mean you ain't mine. That's my point. You can be the God of whoever and king of whoever you want. You're not my king, bro.
Here's one thing. In nature, there is one king. There's no sovereignty.
And it's me. It's me. You had to come to me right now. You had to come to me. So I'm the king, and you are the subject. Since you want to play this game, because you can't seeking me out. I didn't come seeking you out. You can't seeking me. And you know what? And you know what? Let me tell you something about that. Power. Let me give you something to take with you. Power does not travel. Power don't. If you were who you say you are,
my name is
hold on.
Power.
If you were who you say you are, all right, everybody would just be attracted to you. You wouldn't have to come to me. I didn't go to nobody to establish all this I got. I didn't call in to nobody. I was on one radio show one time, and I built all this up just straight off of jumping on the mic, talking, and people basically feeling my energy and growing. That's when you on some God type time.
I got you.
Y'all be on some. To me, y'all be on some. Y'all, but a God and a man, a God and a man ain't got to prove himself to another man. Damn, a God. The definition of a God is anything or anyone who's in control, and you can't be in control of anything until you're in control of yourself. That's what that's talking about. When I was asking you those questions, the answer I was looking for you to say was, I am the God of me. Because that's the only thing you can control is yourself. And in controlling yourself, you can manipulate the forces around you. But it is a mistake to think that you special. You're not special.
Do you know? Yes, I am. I have a double portion of the Spirit more than any and everybody else. I am literally the Elijah that's going to bring back the hearts of the children to the fathers and the fathers. You know what I'm
saying? 310. 310. Maryland. I don't even like doing that. You know what I'm saying? I don't like doing this, but you know, sometimes people, you know, it's like, what was this going? You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is not going anywhere. Because obviously I'm not going to pull you out of your delusion. So you can just, I'm going to let you have that. You know what I'm saying? You got that. You got that. I don't get into arguments of that kind. Go ahead, bro. You on? Who's on? Who's this I got on the line?
Peace to the Elohim.
What's happening? What's going on?
Peace to the Elohim.
Peace to the Elohim.
How you feel?
I'm doing good, bro.
It's Delaware.
It's Delaware? You sound
Delaware.
familiar. You sound familiar.
Yeah, this is Delaware.
Okay. That's what's up.
To make it see you when you get to Philly.
Okay, that's cool. That's what's up.
So, I'm dealing with a matter with conversion, where the state or the city is using the tactics of theft by conversion of property, trying to take control of property. That's titled in fee simple. Can you address the issue of in fee simple property? Is that still a feudalistic term?
Well, yes, because it is a well, no, they use fee simple in commerce too. They use that, but it's a title to the property. It's not a lodial title to the property. You know, it comes from the word fiat, I believe, if I remember correctly. But what property are you talking about? First of all, are we talking, because the word property is an expansive term. You have real property and you have personal property. All right. So you do understand also that the definition of property has changed. Okay. This is one of the biggest reasons why you have to use new dictionaries as opposed to old dictionaries. Because when you look in the new dictionaries under the definition of property, it talks about that old definition being archaic. And the reason for that is because nobody owns any property today. All right. You got it. You don't own the property. Okay. The government has pledged everything. So I understand why they have changed the definition of it. So that would be my first thing, you know, and you know, in asking you about that is you talking about real or personal property. I think you're talking about real property, and then talking about real property, you got to understand the definition of property has changed in today's terms of what's being used today. You know, you might get me on a history question or something. I don't spend too much time studying history no more. I just know today that they got a lien on property. But go ahead.
Right. But this property was titled in 1959.
But that don't matter if there's some sort of lien against it. Is it a lien against it?
There's no lien against it. It's actually free and clear unless they got a silent lien.
Well, they got something called maritime lien, but I wasn't really asking that. Is it a allodial title to it? Do you have to pay property taxes?
Well, yeah, they was paying property taxes. My grandparents.
Yeah, see, the reason you paying property taxes, the reason you're paying property taxes, because you remember this, you only pay a tax on a benefit and a privilege. I wish people would. I want everybody out there remember this. All right, this is going to help you order your mind when it comes to taxes in public and private, because these are very good questions y'all are calling in asking me. Okay, everybody's asking some pretty good questions. What I see is there's still this not quite clarity on public and private. Okay, and when I say public law and private law, or corporate in the real world, or whatever we want to say it, you know, when you're paying taxes are only in the public. So if you're getting any kind of tax, you know it's some sort of public benefit or privilege. If it's a tax, it's a public benefit. So right now, your mind is ordered. You know that if you're paying a tax, it's for what type of benefit and a privilege am I accepting, and how can I terminate it? That's what you got to ask. What is the benefit? A lot of times the benefit is just the ability to access statutes. That's the biggest thing, to adjudicate some sort of controversy in their courts. All these things right here are because some benefit and privilege. So when we talk about private, it means that you ain't taking nothing from them. You ain't getting no mail. You ain't got no 911. You ain't getting no water. That's why every time you hear me say I talk to somebody, I say, get you a allodial title to your land, get you some solar panels on your top of your house, dig you a well so you can have some water, because you can do that, and find a way to live off of the grid. That's being private. But ain't many people.
They tell it. Well,
huh?
This particular property is in the city.
So it's in a municipality. Okay, so that's what I mean. Yeah. So it being in a municipality, okay. If you, I don't know, is this a tax question? Are you trying to shield it from taxation? What is your issue with the property? What's the issue you had? I think you told me. I might not heard it.
The issue is that I'm the natural successor by heirship.
Okay, by heirship, is that through will? Is that through will or through a trust?
That's by nature.
No, I mean, okay. If you're an heir to something,
in the laws of descent.
Okay, I know your laws of descent, but they usually, whoever is the owner of that property, if they're going to convey it to you, you got something called testate, intestate, and testate. When you die intestate, that means you die without a will. Huh?
It's intestate succession. Intestate succession.
Okay, so there wasn't no will. Okay, so yeah, but you're gonna probably the probate court has it then, right?
Well, it is one of my relatives who's a presumptive heir.
Challenged you.
Challenged. He called himself challenging me, but he's a presumptive heir. He's not the heir. He's not the heir apparent.
Okay, well, that's to be determined by the court. That's to be determined by the court, not you. You can make your argument to the court, and you can present facts to the court on that are supported by affidavit, and then take it before a fact trier, and then they will come a determination on that, because that's what judges do. Judges construe the law, not you. So you have what is called a material issue of fact. Okay, so the fact, since both y'all don't agree on the facts, you're saying he's not, he's saying he is. So we're going to go before a fact trier, and that's going to be a jury trial or a bench trial, and we'll get to the bottom of it. Okay, so you're going to probably go through some sort of administrative hearing and probate court to make this determination now. That's the danger of not having a will or a trust. That's the danger of not having a trust. Because a will, you got something called what is it called? What kind of trust? A testamentary trust. I think that's what it's called, where it's a will that invokes that converts to a trust upon the death of the testator. So, you know, you got to have a will is the best. I mean, a trust is the best thing to have because you don't own it, and then conveyance is really easy. It just goes to the next set of beneficiaries. But when you don't have any type, when you die intestate, you should expect some sort of challenge. It's always going to be some sort of challenge to property, you know, especially if there are two heirs, if they're two relatives. You're making a claim. So you have to have proof of claim, and then you have to have something to counter his claim because he has a claim too. Y'all both making a claim to the heirship. That's what they used to do back in the King Arthur. I have a claim to the throne. No, brother, I have a claim to the throne. I challenge you to a duel or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It would be a claim.
Mm-hmm.
Claims, you know. So we're dealing with claims, and you know, so you have to have proof of claim. You got to be able to, like my attorney friend. My attorney friend told me, he says it's not about right or wrong. It's about what you can prove. It's about what you can prove. It ain't about right or wrong, how you feel about some shit. You know, fuck your feelings.
That's right.
I'm not talking to you specifically. But, you know, you can't, your feelings don't have nothing to do with this. You know, take your feelings completely out of business. Take your feelings out of business. That would be my suggestion.
So I've been doing administrative process. With the executive of the court, coming from the executive's office. Okay, so they have yet to respond. They're in default and dishonor. I'm about to get him.
Okay, so how does that? But see, where's your what's your quo warranto to do that? What authority do you have to do that? They have to see when you do something, they have to have a duty to respond to you. Okay. You just can't shoot paperwork at someone. What are you accusing them of? Okay. They are just an unbiased arbiter in a dispute. They're adjudicating a dispute. There's two claimants that have a claim to property, and you're going to attack them. It's like, look, that's like attacking somebody in a divorce. You know, somebody wants to get a divorce. So
I'm not attacking them. I'm not attacking them. I'm questioning the procedural thing because what he did was he went and got a private attorney. Now watch this. He went and got a private attorney. The private attorney told him to go file. When he went and filed, he wasn't able to put up the bond. They denied him as the personal representative. Okay? Then he got documentation in there where he say he of sound mind and body, and he renunciates his right as the personal representative and assigns it to his private attorney. His private attorney also serves on the fiduciary board of the probate court. That's a conflict of interest, ain't it?
I don't know if it's a conflict of interest, and I don't see anything wrong with him appointing his attorney as his agent. I didn't hear anything wrong.
If he renunciated a right that he never had placed upon him.
Okay, but that's what you say. That's what you say.
No, that's what the court papers say.
That's what
the probate papers say. It say he was denied as the personal representative because he could not put up the bond.
Okay.
And then it's got two documents in the packet. One of them is a power of attorney, and one of them is a renunciation. He filled out the renunciation paper. He renunciates his right as the personal representative, which he never had in his possession in the first place.
Okay, so what's the issue is what I'm trying to find out. What issue are you having? You know, is you got a court date or something coming up?
No, they ain't never gave me no court date. They just moving forward like I don't exist. So what I got to do is go down there and file for some type of injunctive relief or something like that.
You can do that. But I would say this: that's an equitable remedy. To get equity, you must do equity, and you have to have good faith and clean hands. Just FYI, remembering telling you about that. You want injunctive relief, okay? And that's fine. You have every right to petition the court for that. However, I think you need to also, I'm listening to you talk, and I haven't seen your paperwork, because a lot of people, they tell me things over the phone and then I see their paperwork. I get a clear understanding of it then, of what exactly is going on. But I'm still a little confused of some of the things that you're talking about. All I can do is say that it appears to be two claims. Are you a party to the case? Are you a party to the case? You said they're moving forward like you're not there, but are you a party?
Let me say this to you. He named me in the case, okay? Now watch what happened. I went to the clerk's office to get
So you're not a party. You're not a party.
No, wait a minute. I went to the case. I went to the clerk's office and asked for to get a certified copy of the case. Now, this was strange to me. If it's a court of public record, they told me you're not a party to the case, and I'm clearly in the case as one of the heads. It's me and him named in the case.
Is your name on the caption of the pleading of the complaint? The caption of the pleading is, like it says, state of so and so versus blah blah blah. Or you?
No, they don't got no. They don't have no caption. They just filled out forms with the register. Or they filled out forms in the probate court. It ain't no caption. Like
okay, well, even if you're not, you have a right to intervene because you claim that you have an interest. All right, so even if they don't feel if you're not a party, you do got a right to intervene. If you have an interest in property that's as a disposition of the action, it could impair your ability to protect that interest. So you have a right to intervene. Right. That's under Rule 24, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. But that same principle applies on the state level. So or you can look in your.
Right. I'm in the belly of the beast. I'm in the 28 USC 3002. I'm right in it. I'm DC. It's a federal corporation. It ran by Congress, and in the Organic Act of 1871, it says that the District of Columbia shall not make any laws to change the laws of descent.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you ain't proving nothing. You're just saying that you have the descent. Okay, you got to go prove that. You can't just say something. You're just declaring something. Where's your proof?
Well, I understand that it's in the process, and like I say, I'm sitting here.
Well, in the process, it's not accomplished. It's to either do or you don't do. It ain't no in between in the process. Either it's done or it's not done. That's it. So when it gets done, then we can have a discussion about that. But it's not done. So now we're engaging in a lot of speculation. And I don't like to deal in speculative type things because really it's just a waste of time because we really don't know. You know what I'm saying? But until you got to be serious about what it is that you're doing. And it doesn't sound like you have an interest in the property to me. I could be wrong, but just listening to what you said, everything that you just told me, it don't sound like you have an interest. And that's what they just told you. You just said they told you that. So that's what it sounds like to me. But
no, they ain't tell me that. I'm that. He put my name down.
Oh, I mean, he said you're not a party. He said you're not a party. He said you're not a party to the case.
That's because, yeah, but that's those people functioning illiterate, man.
Okay,
in that office.
Okay.
They couldn't even tell me who the clerk of the court was.
Okay, I understand that, but
he's a supervisor.
I understand, but at the same time, they work in the public. They are bonded to work in the public. It is going to be a presumption that they're competent in the execution of their duties in the public to make decisions the way that they do. So unless you can prove in some kind of way that they are incompetent in the function of their duties, then you're just it's just a hearsay statement that you're making. See, you're making a lot of hearsay statements that you got to understand what hearsay is. Okay, you got to be able to, it's proof of claim. You're making a claim. You're making a lot of claims. You're going to have to prove it. That's the end of the day. You're not getting around that. You're not going to file some paperwork and shoot some paperwork at some people and then demand that they answer it, and you haven't even proved who you are. You ain't even proved who you are to them. The property, he died intestate, so the state is going to have an interest in it. He didn't have a trust. All right. You just can't outright deny their claim. Okay. They have a pecuniary interest in property that they deem to be a part of the public. And until you can prove that property is wholly in the private, they got some tax questions for you as it relates to that property. There's going to be probably some sort of property tax, a death tax. I don't know. You know, I'm not an expert in that. You can go to an attorney, but I'm just listening to you talk right now. And I don't think you have an interest because you haven't proved anything to me. So I know you ain't proved nothing to them because they do this shit every day. You know? They do it every day.
I don't have an interest, huh?
I'm just saying, man.
I
I gotta be hard. Listen, I gotta be hard like this. I can't kiss y'all ass because y'all follow me and all this. I gotta be hard on y'all. When y'all call into my show, I'm going to let you know if you're wrong or not. I'm not saying, I'm not the devil, and I ain't finna do that shit. I'm a man of truth. Sometimes they right.
No.
Sometimes they right.
I'm listening to what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, but sometimes.
Sometimes they right. You know what I'm saying?
I'm listening to what you're saying though, but all at the same time, we talking man to man. I'm listening to you. I ain't got no problem with how you talking.
Yeah. All I'm saying to you is you have to prove what you're saying. That's all I'm saying. You ain't got to prove it to me. I'm not asking you to prove it to me.
So in other words, here's my question. Let me get to the basics of it. Because when I hear people calling and you talking and you giving your opinion on this situation, it seems like the people is always on the defense and they defending something. My point is how to go on the offense.
Well, you could have went on the offense. You could have went on the offense by first, number one, making sure that whoever was the person at the property, they had a will or was in a trust. Okay, that's how you establish yourself on the offense, huh?
Yeah, my grandparents, man. My grandmother passed at 97 years old, born in 1919. She ain't
I understand.
No trust, neither did my grandfather.
But see, the only thing that you're having a problem with.
Know nothing about that.
Let me ask you a question. If I was to pull the other person on the phone and he has a claim on it, why don't we put him on the phone and let's see what he has to say, and see what he has to say. You know what I'm saying? Put him on the phone, and because he says he has a claim too, huh? He's
I'm not denying that he have a claim.
Okay, so if there's two people
if
there's two people that have a claim, then what is the issue then? Okay, I have to go back again. So you've acknowledged that both of you had a claim. So is one person trying to get the possession of the property over the other person? Or y'all trying to share possession of the property? You know, what is the...
No, he want to eject me from the property.
Okay, so he don't want you in the...
Evict me from the property.
He don't want... So or you must be living in the property. You living in the property.
No, I go back and forth. My mother been here since 2007.
Gotcha.
Which is my grandmother's mother.
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
So my father is the firstborn child.
Okay, that's fine.
Firstborn male child.
Okay, that's fine. Okay,
so my point is, my mother been here in aid of my grandmother, her mother-in-law, since 2006 or 5 or 6. Okay, my grandmother passed in 17. Okay, I've been back and forth here because my mother's here by herself, and she's 82 years old right now. Okay, so and so he right across the street in our aunt's house that he purchased when our aunt preceded our uncle in death. When my uncle died, he had children by another marriage, and he went to them and petitioned to buy the house from them, and they let him buy the house. So he right a half a block away. So his thing is, man.
Okay, let me say this to you, man, and I don't want to hurt your feelings, but nothing what you said is germane to what we are discussing. Okay, let's get back to what we're talking about. I know you're giving me some background, but you know what? Take your emotion out of business, all right? Because it's not going to get me emotional. We're going to go back to the point. The point is two people have a claim. He's trying to eject you from the property. You don't have possession of the property. My next question is, who has possession of the property right now? Who had the keys to the house? I don't have possession. What you mean? Who has the keys to the house?
I do.
Okay, so you have constructive. Can he get in the house?
And
huh?
He got keys to. He got keys too.
Okay, so y'all both got an interest. You got an interest.
And I'm not denying that.
Okay, so y'all both got an interest. Okay, so he wants to inject you. He don't want to share the property with you. He wants to take the property from you.
He want to sell it so he can do what he want to do.
I understand.
Despite my interest.
I understand. I think that
his intention is.
I think that usually in situations like this, because you can fight him, you can fight him, but it could be long and tedious and end up costing a lot of money to do. Maybe not in money, but maybe in time and things like that. It might be worth it. But what I was going to say is, I was like, why y'all can't get together? Because if y'all can reach an agreement and not waste the judicial resources of the court before you go to court, that would be great.
I attempted to reach agreement.
Okay, then do this. Do this for me. Listen. I want you to do this. I want you to write him a letter. Okay? You're going to send a certified mail with an affidavit of mailing from a notary. Now, the reason you're doing this is because you want to demonstrate to the court that you acted in good faith and with clean hands, that you tried, okay, to reach an agreement, and you have evidence of that. So when you're about to get into a court case, everything needs to be put on paper. The telephone calls really need to stop, and a series of letter writing needs to commence, because you need evidence to go into court with. Okay, so you make you make your offer to him on paper. I probably would word it something like, okay, dear John Doe, I'm writing you today in relation to the above titled property at so and so and so and so such a drive, and a dispute that has arisen as to the title to that property and interest in said property. It is my understanding that both of us have a interest in the property, and I'm proposing a 50-50 split in order to avoid wasting the judicial resources of the court. However, if you deny this, then I will assure you that I am going to, challenge you in court, and it could be quite expensive, and it could get quite long, and we won't reach any type of an agreement, for maybe a couple of years. I've seen cases going probate for years and shit, So, you're trying to resolve something with him first. And so any type of grievance that you have with him, okay, then you need to write him and then tell him what will make you whole. Okay, that's the only way you can be injured. You got to identify the injury and then tell him what you need to make yourself whole, whether that's something monetarily, some sort of conduct on his part, action, or whatever. But everything needs to be recorded. For a matter to be resolved, it must be expressed. That is the first, and truth can only be expressed in the form of an affidavit. Make sure that you have some affidavits accompanying whatever it is, your correspondence. So this is what you're doing first, a letter writing campaign, where you're going to write him in writing, tell him what your problem is, tell him what you say, what you have as a solution, allow him to write you back and counteract what you're saying, or add to it, or agree to it, or something like that. Okay? That's what you need to start doing. And do it in a spirit of brotherhood, and you are seeking an actual solution. Be solution oriented. Say, look, man, we don't need to fight over our mama's property. Look, I'm willing to take 50%, you take 50%. We sell the house and we split it down the middle. Now, if he don't want to do that, now we dealing with something that, is a person that's not interested in fairness and impartiality. He ain't interested in that. So now you need to dig in, because he's not interested in that if you don't want to do 50-50.
Yeah, so my position is not selling the property. If I have to go into some other property that I have to get him a settlement or get him some agreed
then
amount,
put that in writing. Right,
because this particular property has been free and clear.
Then put that in writing.
Don't have no.
Y'all don't have to sell the property. Y'all can take out a home equity loan on the property. You'll start having notes again.
Yeah, but that's listen, and like not to get personal, but I just got to be real with you so you have a background. Hey man, he's 2 months older than me. We the same age, okay? He got a jealousy issue with me my whole life, so that's the issue. And
I can believe that.
He just really ain't no man in life. You know what I'm saying? I done had to stop altercations and save him, and a whole lot of other things going on throughout life coming up. And
I understand that, but let me say this.
Yeah.
That is not germane to what we're discussing. I understand.
I hear you, but I'm just
I understand. However, if I get him on the phone, I'm sure he equally has something to say about you too. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. We got to get out of that discussion, and let's just stay focused on getting a resolution to your issue. And in getting a resolution to your issue, you're going to have to be solution oriented. And hopefully he is. I can understand about the jealousy thing. I've experienced that myself in life. So I understand where you're coming from with that. And that can be an impediment to reaching a solution. All right. But you got to make the attempt. And so you have a record that you made the attempt. All right. You got a record that you've attempted to resolve the issue. And then once you got that record, that's going to be something in your favor. Court's going to smile on that.
I engaged him I engaged him in the very beginning about paying half. We split the taxes in half and paid it. He did it in one installment, and then he withdrew.
Well, put everything in writing. Memorialize your conversations. And make sure you have witnesses. Right. You always got to make sure you have two witnesses. The certified letter, the green 3811 form for the certified mail is a witness, and the notary stamp is a witness. Notaries are witnesses. So they're witnesses. So, affidavit of mailing is attest to the fact of the contents of a correspondence, and the certified mail attests to the fact that it did get mailed and there was somebody that received that correspondence. So we've covered in court, we assure that he got the letter and he got this letter. All right, that's why we're doing it like that. He can't say, yeah, I got your envelope, but wasn't nothing in it or nothing like that. He can't say none of that. He say, yeah, you got the letter. We got evidence, Your Honor. I mailed him this. And here it is. I gave him 10 days to respond. He didn't respond. He's not solution oriented. I got evidence of this fact. I didn't want to come here and waste the judicial resources of this court. Here's my evidence of my interest in said property. I have possession of property because I got the keys to it. I got possession, So, you just make that and you put that on the record. And if you're not a party to the case, then intervene. If you're not, I'm just giving you this as something. Go ahead.
Now, I hear what you're saying. So what I also did, I filed a UCC 1 with a fixture filing. Okay. And
well, that's a claim. That's a notice of a claim.
When I went down to the land records, the lady denied it.
Oh, okay.
Denied filing
because the UCC 1, because listen, a UCC 1 don't belong in the land records. Okay.
No, that's the filing office. Here in DC, it serves as the filing office for UCC filings as well.
Okay, so
the same office.
Okay, so why did they deny it? Did they give you a reason?
Nope.
Okay, let me say this.
They had the right quote of the statute and just say they had a right to deny it. So maybe they don't even understand it. When I talked to several people in the office and I mentioned UCC, they say, "What is that?"
Well, I thought you said that's the filing office. If that's the filing office, why are they gonna say what is that when it's the everybody in the UCC know what everybody in the UCC filing office know what UCC mean.
Well, one thing about it, the woman that is the recorder deed, she's an attorney as well.
So she know what UCC mean too.
She's in that position.
She know what okay.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So she know what it was, and so I filed it in Maryland. Maryland is the actual birth state of my grandfather. That's where I filed it in. So I went to go file it in D.C. That's where the property is situated at. See what I'm saying? So in my position,
a UCC 1 is a notice. A UCC 1 is a notice, and there's a creditor and a debtor listed on it. Who is the creditor and the debtor, and do you have a contract between that creditor and debtor that's going to support that UCC 1?
Right. You asking me, or you just saying that?
I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
Well, my interest in the property, my interest in the estate, in 9.
Do you have a contract? Do you have a contract?
Yeah, I got a. What you mean? Do I have a contract? Do I have a written contract?
Yeah. Do you have a written contract? That's the first question.
The contract in 9 in secure transaction is based on my interest in property.
Okay, yeah, and usually you have to have evidence of interest in property. There has to be some sort of contract. It's a UCC contract. It's a contract. Okay, so where's the contract? Okay, you got to have some sort of enforcement. You're enforcing a contract. It's a secure. Article 9 is dealing with security interest in property. Okay, so that's a lien. So that's what the UCC 1 is. There's a creditor and debtor on there. Evidence of a lien. So if there's a lien, there's a debtor and a creditor, and usually there's some sort of agreement that is in the form of a contract expecting performance on both sides. If somebody gives certain things, they're going to expect certain performances in return, which is usually money. So I'm just saying.
Right.
All I'm doing, I'm just giving you the real. I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying that you don't have, you can't win or you don't have an interest in the property, but I don't think you're using the right approach right now, because they have passed, they were intestate, okay? This property is passed to probate. Now there is an issue over title between you and a relative. I don't know what relation he is to you, but he obviously has some sort of interest.
Yeah,
He's claiming an interest in the property. You're claiming an interest in the property. It's going to have to go before. You can't take the property from him. It's really a private matter. You know what I'm saying? So you just can't take it from him. Because I filed a UCC 1 or something like that. That's not going to fly. Because you don't have a grounds for filing a UCC 1. You don't have a basis. Not that I hear so far for filing a UCC 1. I don't hear it. You can do a straw man filing for yourself anytime you want, but not for I don't see a basis for you filing the UCC 1 for that property. I don't see that. I don't. There's no contract. So anyway, bro, look, I got to get off, man. I got to get ready to get off. I'm running out of time, but I will be back on tomorrow. Huh?
When you come to Philly?
We coming. We're trying to get there in October or November. It's gonna be October, November. I can tell you right now. I think it's gonna be late October. I'm shooting for late October.
Okay. All right, I'll be listening out for that.
Yeah, about 2 months.
Good talking to you, man. Good hearing your voice.
It was good hearing your voice again. I know who you are. I remember you.
I know. I know. And for the people out there, I'm gonna say this. That talk about your consultations and stuff like that. You changed your number at this point, but I had your number. I didn't call you. You didn't talk to me for nothing.
Yeah.
So just for those that just think that you charging an arbitrary fee for you to give your time, I just gotta be real with it.
I thank you for that.
You didn't do that to me. I didn't keep you on the phone that long too, out of respect for your time. But my important question, I got it in, and you gave me some intellect on it, and you kept it real. So for those that be squawking and hollering and screaming, and hey man, life is a bitch, and then you die. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole lot of stuff going on with everybody, and people dealing with daily stuff, and dealing with these people that's trying to enforce a performance on you. And it's a learning curve. I've been listening to you since 2012 when you were sitting in the Starbucks.
Yeah, you sure have. You sure have. Hey, this guy right here, Scimitar Bay, right?
Nah, I'm a Bay, but I ain't.
How do you pronounce it? I don't know if I pronounced it the right way. How you say it?
We ain't had no. I never said my name to you.
Oh, you didn't.
What we did, we always called me Delaware because that's where I met you at.
Then Delaware.
Hey, but you know, the thing is, you've
Yeah,
been
but you
listening to
can't
me
just-
since 92. I mean, I'm sorry. When I started, like in 13, 14, something like that?
2012.
2012.
2012.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
And travel with you on your travels from California back to Atlanta.
Boy, it
Yeah.
feels good. It feels
Yeah,
weird
excuse
listening
me.
to somebody been listening to me that long. Why? Because the average person call in, they been
Yeah.
listening to me about like the longest 5 years, 4 years, something like that. But yeah, you've been listening to me for a long time. Let me ask you a question. Have I changed up any?
No, you ain't changed up, but what I feel from you, it's more shit on your plate than it was back then.
Yeah.
And I know you had a new little young addition.
Yeah.
And man, people just don't understand, man. And you just gotta learn, man. Like I looked at the Edward Mandel House thing that you put up, and a lot of people won't get that. They telling you what they did. They telling you that it's a way for you to be happy with it, or it's a way for you not to be happy with it.
Yeah.
The object is for you to find out the way to be happy with it and how to deal with it.
Exactly.
It's
and
commercial.
it's commercial. And
$31 trillion. Yeah, they $31 trillion in debt. They got a stipulation in the 14th Amendment that you can't discuss the national debt. Well, I'm not discussing it. We put it on paper on the one, and we dealing with it.
well, you can't question it with
If you
them.
created something.
Yeah, they say you can't question the national debt. But yeah.
Yeah, but you put it on. You established a bill of lading when I was born, when you had to fill out the papers for that birth certificate.
Right.
That certificate is your certificate letting you know that there's a bill of lading being warehoused for the height and weight of that vessel, that
Right.
baby. And you pledge the labor and the energy of that baby to the United States, and you didn't know it.
Exactly.
And Edward Mandel House is telling you that they did it without you knowing it, and that they will always be able to have the claim of plausible deniability.
Hey man, did you like that video? How I put it together? Did you like how I put it together?
I've been read that, man. That cuts when you comprehend what he said.
Yeah.
It cuts the learning curve.
Yes.
Of this information, because when you go further, Edward Mandel House is the one who basically persuaded Woodrow Wilson to create the Federal
Reserve. The Federal Reserve.
The Federal Reserve Board.
Federal Reserve.
He's the one that persuaded him to do it.
To sign it.
He was the greatest advocate.
Yep.
Yeah, he was the greatest advocate for Woodrow Wilson getting elected, and that's probably why his purpose in doing it. So he could get him to sign that and put that in place.
It's exactly
You know what
correct.
I'm saying? So we got to look at politics. This is why they don't like Donald Trump, because Donald Trump know that shit.
Yep.
And that's why he's conducting the office of the president as a business. And they don't like that because that's cutting in their pockets.
Yep.
That's cutting in their pockets. When he said America great again, everybody keep talking about his racial shit and all that. Man, I'm gonna say this one thing. I ain't gonna hold you. I know you gotta go. It's getting late. Listen, I was talking to a guy from Brooklyn. He in Atlanta. Where you at? We're on a three-way with another guy. They went to North Carolina A&T. And so I asked him. He talking about, oh, man, that motherfucker, he's some shit. And this and I said, man, where was Donald Trump born at? Oh, that motherfucker, he was born in Manhattan with a silver spoon in his mouth. I said, are you sure? That's where he was born at? Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I'm from Brooklyn. I said, man, Donald Trump was born in Jamaica Queens Hospital. That's the hood. That's in Brooklyn. That's the hood, Jamaica Queens.
And nobody
He
ever
raised around us.
listen, man. Donald Trump was the darling of hip hop. I don't never remember anybody thinking anything negative about Donald Trump before he ran for president. I don't remember nobody saying that everybody liked him. Nobody made no allegations against him. He always had a broad. He was looked at. I think his reputation was that he was like a playboy a rich playboy, you know, that. But man, you go back and look at old videos of him, he talk about being the president and what he would do if he became president when he was a teenager or a young man.
Yep.
He's on the Rhonda Byrne show or whatever. Get on YouTube and look at that interview that he has with Rhonda. Just put Donald Trump interview with Rhonda, and it should just pop up. I forgot her last name. But listen to that interview, him talking about being president. Man, he's young. He's like a teenager, it looked like. And he's doing exactly what he said. That's how I know that he's a real person, because I'm like, damn, this nigga was like 19 right here, and he talking exactly the same way now he's an adult. He did it, man. Right. He never came off of who he was. He never came off of who he was. What the sad thing is that these people are being programmed by the media. The only reason they hate Donald Trump is because the media tell them to hate Donald Trump. That's why they hate him, because the media says to hate him.
And he's the only man that you can go through the entire history of presidents. He's the only man that told you in his campaign, this thing is rigged. Watch me be the president.
And he also said he was also the only president. He's also the only president while he was in office. We didn't have a war. We didn't have no war.
Right.
We wasn't fighting nowhere.
Right.
That's another thing. You know, it's like, you know, gas prices was lowest they ever been. The first thing Joe Biden did when he got back in office is raise gas prices. That's when I knew. I said, yep. I said, yeah, somebody mad at Trump about that money. It's about that money. Soon, the first thing Joe Biden did, we were paying like $2.30 a gallon, some shit, I don't know. It was $2 something. It hadn't been down in the twos in a long time. But that shit was like $2.90 or something like that. We paying for gas. I think
regular gas here when Trump was in office, regular gas here was under $2.
Yeah, I was about to say it got down to $1 something in some places. Man, soon as Joe Biden got back in, the first thing he did, gas prices shot right back up. And I'm like, man, this dude right here. I knew then, I said, and I just knew. I said, man, this dude, they stole that election. That's so, them people act like they can't see that election was stolen. They came with this mail-in ballot bullshit, then put COVID. They did some shit, man, that like, it's like, man, people actually fail for that shit. That's how I be looking to it. I said, you just fail for that? You fail for that? This man done Go ahead.
Another thing about the January 6th thing, okay, about him inciting a riot. Okay, now.
That's bullshit.
What he really did, he exercised the Constitution and told you to stand and fight for your rights. So he told you in the Constitution there's a provision that says whenever the government resorts to tyranny, the people have the right to change it by any means necessary.
That's the Declaration of Independence. But I was about to quote that. What they were doing is that they were in the spirit of the Declaration of Independence and an understanding that we have a representative form of government. And anytime that the people feel that that's the whole reason we got gun rights. Gun rights ain't for to go hunting and shit like that. Gun rights is to take back the government if the government gets out of hand. That's what it's for. That's what it's for. Yep. The power to take back the government. And it's people that don't know that. They don't know that. They've never been educated on civics. So they look what they're doing. They're attacking the Capitol Hill. They're like, damn, these people are stealing the damn election and doing all kind of things out of the box. But because people are being led by, he's racist. Or, you know, if you look at everything coming from the left, it is all against morality. It's anything that's immoral is being pushed, you know. Anything immoral is being pushed. They're trying to normalize immorality. They're normalizing it because they want people to be heathens. And when you become a heathen, they have a right to enslave you. Heathens can be enslaved.
That's right. Because they can't control themselves.
They can be enslaved.
They can't control, and they participate in all types of illicit activities.
Exactly.
I was telling my mother that today. She 82. Yeah, I was telling her that today. You know what I'm saying? I say, when you, it say, my people should perish for a lack of knowledge. But further in there, and I'm paraphrasing, is basically saying you rejected the laws of God. And so if you rejected the laws of God, God rejected you.
That's exactly
so
correct.
Don't get that.
And you and if God is not with you, everybody can be against you.
That's right. That's right.
If God is not with you, everybody can be against you. If God is not with you, hey man, look, I got to get off now, man. But it's been a pleasure talking to you again. It really has.
Yeah, you too, man. Keep an eye out for me now. I'm always on calling in when you come on, but I get your notices. I don't get your notice right away. So by the time I get on, you already been on for an hour.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that. I'm gonna start trying to send them out a little earlier tonight. I just wanted to jump on the mic. I just jumped on the mic. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I didn't really prepare for it. But tomorrow, y'all look for me. We're gonna run it back again. All right? Okay.
Okay.
All right, bro. All right, peace. All right, y'all. That is it for me. If you listen on the Blog Talk, I'm about to end that episode on Blog Talk. So what is it? Can I it's saying that it ended. But anyway, make sure you join SBC University, Currency Circulator, and we getting it together. We working on the website. We still, man, the website is so much of it was such a big project this time. I didn't realize I grew this much. I'm like, I grew big. My business is growing big. You have no idea. It's incredible, the growth that's happening. So that's what I've been preoccupied with. So just FYI. But anyway, I'll be back on tomorrow, y'all. We'll get through it again. I give y'all opportunity to call in again. I'm trying to make sure y'all able to call in and talk to me, because that's what I really like doing. I like talking to people. And I like letting y'all listen to it. I like this format. Y'all being able to let y'all listen to what's being said. But anyway, peace to the gods. You've been listening to the hottest radio network on the planet, High Frequency Radio. I'm Yusef. I'm out. Peace to the gods. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.